All right, guys, I want to introduce Lekan again. Lekan is going to be taking us on a whirlwind tour today on these 21 days of ChatGPT monetization bootcamp. Today is 15, and our special guest today is Lekan Bashua, who is a product manager at Google, as well as a co-founder of several startups. I've even lost count, but he's here. Let's learn from him. Over to you, Lekan.
Thank you, Doctor. Let's see, are you seeing the right screen?
Yes, we are seeing slide 1 of 34.
Okay,
we are seeing
so
it's like we are seeing it from your own side.
Yeah, it's showing the wrong screen.
That's the problem. Techie people, everything complicates. Tech people, kilo day, everything is complicated.
I think my audio is doubling. Sorry for all the technical challenges. I'll just present like this. This might be easier.
Okay, okay, fantastic. I need to mute myself. Maybe that's part of the problem.
No, I think you're okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to present it in this mode. It'll be easier that way. All right. Sorry for all the technical challenges. So, Dr. Akwe, thank you for the time. You know, what I thought I would do is Dr. Akwe has been speaking a lot about AI and all the different sort of business models that are out there, right? And you're on day 15 of 21. And what I figured I would do is just talk to you a little bit about why I'm focused on what I'm doing and why this time makes sense for all of us to be looking at AI, right? And I want to maybe share some thoughts around how to think about all these different business models Dr. Akwe has been sharing and how to figure out which of these businesses make sense for you. And then I'm going to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger because I want you actually all to attend the conference at the end of the month. But in a way, I kind of don't want you to wait for the conference. I kind of also want you to take action in the meantime. But I'm only going to do half a talk today, and it's on purpose because I think sometimes doing too much all at once doesn't make as much sense. But anyway, when we get to that point, maybe in conversation, we can kind of continue the conversation, but I'm going to take it halfway through what I would normally share in a talk like this. But I wanted to share with you initially just some thoughts about why I'm focused on doing the things that I'm doing. So full disclosure, I still work at Google. That's my daytime job. Thankfully, today I'm off, so I'm able to be here. But I think all of us should be thinking about AI broadly from a business perspective. And the excitement for me, and while I'm focused on building this next startup that I'm building, is that typically when we've talked about tech and startups, this is who we normally see. Dr. Peck, you can see these folks on my screen, right? The two guys with the laptops.
Not yet. We only saw, we are seeing like something that looks like Sahara Desert, but beautiful one.
Oh,
like kind of...
no, that's why. My fault.
Yes, we are seeing your desktop.
Okay. Here. Now you should be seeing what I'm saying.
Yeah, now we are seeing it. Okay, fantastic. Just make it feel the screen will be good. Okay, great.
Do that.
Last, me too, I don't know this one that you have brought again, but it's okay. All right, this is good. This is good.
So, you know, I'm focused on building a startup that focuses on helping people build companies, right? To me, the AI opportunity right now, when we talk about tech, typically, who are we talking about? Usually it's these guys. It's usually a bunch of Caucasian guys who all went to Stanford. That's who we built technology for. Sorry, the audio is doubling up.
No, you are sounding up. We are hearing you very well. There's no doubling.
I think the opportunity today is to build for a lot of different types of people. And I think even as we talk about AI and the opportunities and the solutions, you should be thinking about lots of different types of people. You know, whether you're old, you're young, you're no matter who you are, basically, there's an opportunity to play in this space. And that's why I'm excited about AI for the first time. You know, people who you typically wouldn't have thought about as the folks who could be building solutions, the people who you wouldn't necessarily be building solutions for. Maybe they come from places that are out there and places people don't pay attention to. Those are all the folks today that I think for the first time have this power to now build software in a way that addresses their own personal needs and the needs of their community, and can do it in a way where even funding it is different than it could be before. And I think that's the opportunity with AI that I want you all to kind of, as you're thinking about all these potential business models and all these tools that you guys have heard about, I think the opportunity is to think about it from the context of what niche can I really focus on that is different, unique, and something you can take advantage of that solves needs for people who typically folks are not paying attention to. I think for the first time, you can build software now for industries and use cases that financially before did not make sense, right? No matter who you are and where you're from. I always end with this slide only because, you know, I like talking about what I call under network founders or undiscovered founders from lots of different places. And I think most of where most of us are from are undiscovered, we're undiscovered people typically. But it also means if you're not the two white guys from Stanford, but you're white guys from Alabama, you're undiscovered. Typically, software folks don't pay attention to you. And there are problems in those markets. Dr. Akwe and I have talked about where there's a business I'm getting involved with now that's a stump grinding business. This is where you use a bunch of technology to chop down, after a tree is chopped down, how do you then grind the bottom of the tree into the ground? And that company is being reinvented using technology, using AI, and using robotics, right? So this is something that can be done in any kind of industry. And that's why I'm excited. So the thing I really wanted to get to today is kind of how do you think about all these different business models that you've been looking at and figure out which ones make sense for you as a founder. And we've all been talking about ChatGPT. There's tools like Bard and Bing, but I want you to maybe broadly think about not just AI by itself, but also what we call no code. The interface for AI to me is broader than just saying AI, but thinking of it as more about natural language and the fact that if you can speak language and you can prompt the machine with regular English or whatever language you speak, that's the opportunity. And then this last bullet point about multimodal, that's what we refer to. If you're not familiar with it, it's referring to building, it's thinking about things from not just sort of text only or video or audio, but mixing of those things. So, you know, Dr. Akwe was sharing today about video. I think the opportunity is not just to say, well, I'm just going to focus on video, but how do I kind of mix and match things that make sense for the business I'm building in a more unique way? And I'm circling on my screen here, the microphone, because I want to kind of make a point about that if you look at, if you grab your phone and you go to Google search today, you'll notice there's the search bar that we've all been used to for years where you just type in your search. The interesting thing now is if you look at most of your phones, you'll notice that in that search box, there's also the microphone where you can just talk to the phone. There's also Google Lens now, which is a place where you can click the camera, take a picture of something and let that be the initiation of your search. The reason I think these things are important is that as you're thinking about your opportunity with AI, don't just think about, well, what can I do to use this to write a book or to make video, but think about the entire problem you're trying to solve and ask yourself, how can I use all the senses, right? If you're a human being, right? We can hear, we can see, we can smell. There are all these senses, right? Now think of the computer, the machine that you're taking advantage of as having all these different senses. And which is the most useful sense to leverage at that moment for the problem being solved, right? I find that when I use ChatGPT, 80% of the time, I'm talking to it, even on my desktop. I rarely like to type. I find that chatting with it in voice is actually much more intuitive for me, right? And you think about all the use cases when you take it outside of standing in front of a computer, but using it outside on a factory floor, on a Molue bus, in the middle of an airport, on a factory floor. No matter where you are thinking about solving a problem for, think about multimodal. Think about the inputs being something other than just text, right? And then I think you can kind of widen your aperture a little bit and come up with more unique solutions. All right. So what's the opportunity with AI? What I wanted to do is maybe walk you through kind of a framework for how I think about which problems are worth solving and how to think about solving those problems. Now, I can't really see many of you, so I'm going to open up the chat here real quick, just so I can make sure I can see things that might come up. And then let me also put this up here so I can see some attendees. All right. So I see 61 people in the Zoom room, and let's see. I can't see Clubhouse anymore. I have to shut it down because of audio issues, but let me keep going. I'll come back into Clubhouse when maybe later on in the slides. So what I wanted to kind of talk
30 people, in case you want to know, on Clubhouse, we have 30 people. And then on Gist House, we have 17 people. Go ahead.
Wow. So man, I respect your ability to keep all these platforms going all at the same time.
Prof is here. Prof, come join us on Zoom, Joe. Prof, I saw Prof in the Clubhouse, my mentor. Prof, we did wait you. Go ahead, sorry, Lekan.
Not at all. So I wanted to start, I basically have 7 points I want to make. And each of these 7 points, I've got some subpoints, right? My thought is, if you want to tackle this AI opportunity and you're thinking about all the business opportunities that Dr. Okwe has kind of been walking you through, right? 15 so far of 21. The first place is to start with mindset. And mindset for me is to think like a founder, right? And what I urge folks to do is actually have 5 kind of roles that you play, right? The first one is being visionary. The second one is being a skeptic. Third is being a pragmatist, then being an investigator. And then the fifth is being an anthropologist. Now, when I say that, the first is visionary. I think it's good to spend time thinking about the big opportunity. Hey, if I'm going to leverage AI for this new thing and build this business, how can I do something different? And it's fun to spend time in visionary land and think about big things. But don't spend your whole time there, right? There's this great poem that I like that, anyway, I won't go into all of that. It gets too abstract, but visionary is good and it's important to have a big idea, but spend a little bit of time doing that and then disabuse yourself of the big vision and immediately move to that skeptic zone and challenge your own ideas about kind of this thing you're trying to build. What are all the reasons it's not going to work? And play skeptic for a moment, right? And be your own skeptic before you start spending a lot of time on any idea. And then don't spend too much time being a skeptic, move into being a pragmatist. And the reason I talk about pragmatism is that at the end of the day, you have to take action. You have to do something. You've got to build something today. And that pragmatist view is actually the difference between being a visionary and being a skeptic, is saying, yeah, there's some things that might work, some things that might not work, but what can I build today? And being a pragmatist says, I need to make progress today and do something. So I like staying in that pragmatist zone. But once you become a pragmatist, then you have to play 2 additional roles. One is being an investigator, and the other is being an anthropologist. The investigator role is critical to understand the business you're trying to build, your customer, and understanding your big opportunity in that space. As Dr. Opez shared all these different business models, what always goes through my head when I think about someone in the position of saying, I've been exposed to all these ideas, which one do I do? Without that investigative mind, you won't spend the time and rigor it takes to really dive deep to understand who is actually my customer. Why does this solution and this kind of mix of all these different AI tools make sense for what they're trying to get done? And being an investigator allows you to be unemotional. It allows you to focus on the actual problem you're trying to solve rather than kind of the fun part or the emotional side. My wife and I, we've been in businesses before where it was more about the passion we had for it rather than actually solving the real problem because we weren't unemotional about the problem. Then the final one is anthropologist. The reason I talk about anthropology is I was trained in what they call like design thinking. And a lot of what you do there is just user observation. You look at your customer, you ask them questions, but people lie to you, right? They don't do it on purpose, but they lie to you because many of them can't actually even remember the full story of what they've done. When you're building something, it's very important to play anthropologist. Observe, and then observe, and then observe again. And observe the first time as an investigator, asking them questions. Then observe, if you can, their actual behaviors, whether that's using, a bunch of data and analytics, or whether that's actually like sitting in front of them and watching the actual behavior in practice, doing what they call Gemba walk in lean manufacturing, right? Whatever, no matter how you do it, just make sure you observe your customer's behavior and really see what they do versus what they tell you they do, right? And so to me, somewhere between these 5 roles, if you play them well as a founder, you will get to the essence of the problem you're trying to solve. So then that gets me to kind of the second piece. It's great that you've been exposed to a lot of different AI ideas, and you're probably thinking about 2 or 3 of them. But I always find that a lot of founders spend time thinking about the idea, but sometimes they're not clear on what their own personal motivation or outcome is before they tackle that idea. To me, there are always these different themes that come up, right? Sometimes people want to change the world. You want to go build the next Tesla. That's great. That might be your motivation. You might say, I'm in it for, I want to right a wrong in the world, and that's the motivation I have. Someone else might say, you know what, I want to go prove something to someone. I have this burning desire to prove that I can achieve something. Maybe that's your motivation. Some people want to go make Elon money. They want to go make a lot of money. And then others are saying, you know what, look, I don't care about all of those things. I just want to make some money and feed my family. My point is, no judgment, just do you, right? But make sure, as you think about the problem you're trying to solve, understand your own motivation, and most importantly, maybe the outcome you're looking for. And it gets me to kind of my next point, which is you want to have and make sure that the actions you take are commensurate to those outcomes. A lot of the stuff that I'm spending time with is we talk to a lot of founders that are trying to build really big companies, right? And a lot of times those big companies and those big ideas, a lot of them are going to fail. Yet a founder in their mind is saying, I want to become Elon. I want to make all this money. And sometimes you find that it's actually better to go build a medium-sized business or a business that has revenue on day one that is more predictable. Because if the outcome for you is, I want to make $10 million, you can achieve that better than trying to go build a big Silicon Valley startup, right? So to me, as a founder, as you're thinking about this opportunity, ask yourself, what am I trying to get out of it? What's the problem I'm trying to solve? And make sure the actions you take are commensurate to that. And those come in really kind of asking yourself key questions around how much is it going to take for this idea to go from where I am today to this big outcome I'm looking for? Is the core idea, is it big enough? Or is it just a small idea where I'm just trying to exploit an opportunity in the market? AI for me, for right now, for a lot of people, the opportunity is to just exploit an opening in the market and let it run for as long as it does. And it may not be this big business that will be there in 30 years. And that might be okay, because you might find that some of the business models you've been exposed to in the last 2 weeks are business models that they may not last forever, but you're in a market, you're in a geography where 95% of people have never heard about these things. And your opportunity is to build something today that will monetize, and you get revenue today, and it might be gone in 3 years, and then you'll figure out then. And I think that's okay too, but just make sure it's tied to the goals you're trying to build for, and just make sure that things match up. So then number 4, so you have all of those things. Now, how do you figure out which of these many business models or ideas should you take advantage of? To me, what's interesting is as you start thinking about that, there are these proven sort of thought processes you can use to kind of get to that. I always tell people, as a product person, right, we've been trained to think of really 3 broad categories of things, right? You start with the customer. So great, you see all these great AI tools, you can get into video, you can get into writing books and all of that, but ultimately you want to first figure out user desirability. Do people want this thing that I want to go build? And again, going back to kind of the previous statements around being a skeptic, being a pragmatist, being an investigator, and being an anthropologist, ask yourself, how do I really know there's user desirability, that people care for this thing I'm about to go build. How do you figure that stuff out? You want to do that. As you understand users, asking them some questions, observing them, looking at past behavior, checking your competition. And maybe I should pause here for a second, that all of these things we're talking about, ChatGPT is actually your friend also. Bing is your friend. Bart is your friend. Anthropic is your friend. Poe is your friend. All these AI tools, at least the general sort of large language models, a lot of what I'm describing here is just one day of research. All you have to do is sit down for one day, think about each of these questions, go deep. ChatGPT, help me understand a user that buys this type of thing. How many of them are there in the world? What solutions have they bought before, right? You can tease out all of these things using these same tools that we're talking about. So it's almost malpractice if you don't do that, right? You owe yourself the ability to sort of stop, measure twice before cutting. You want to sort of use this opportunity to kind of really go deep on all these things. So user desirability, that's the first one. Then you play with technical feasibility. I've heard Dr. Akbe mention that don't spend too much time in analysis paralysis, looking at every single AI tool. But you want to spend some time thinking about technical feasibility. This thing that I'm trying to do that now I've validated customers want it. How do I spend time figuring out what it's going to take to actually build that solution? And it takes a little bit of time to sort of figure out how you're going to stitch those AI tools together, right? But once you have a roadmap and you figured out exactly what your customer wants, it's much easier to figure out what the technical solution is. And even if you have to approach folks to help you, it's much easier to ask very specific questions. Again, you can go back into the AI tools and tell it to recommend solutions. But once you understand user desirability, then you can play with technical feasibility and figure out what you need, what tools will make that thing come true. Then you get to your third bucket, which is business viability. This is where you try to figure out, okay, if I have enough people in the world who want my idea and I know how to reach them, and I have a reasonable sort of marketing cost to get to them, and I can build a technical platform that will deliver that solution, and part of that platform will help me market to them in a reasonable way. And I've found sources where those things are repeatable, and I can build, maybe a marketing engine that has some sort of funnel built into it. Once you figure those things out, then the question really is on the business viability side is, if you did all of that stuff and you're subscribing to 15 different AI tools and you're spending money on the ones that have high subscription costs or ones that have costs that require you to spend, by usage, right? When you think about all of those things, you put it all together and the cost it takes you to build the platform initially, can you make money, right? Is the business viable after all those things have been put into place? To me, if you think about these three broad categories before you start building, you will do yourself a solid. And these things, again, can be done in 1 day. This doesn't have to be a 6-month exercise. You can literally sit there in one night, map this entire thing out, and at least have a game plan. So then the question becomes, okay, if I've done all of these things, where do I go next? So to me, the next thing is you've mapped out that initial idea. Now you want to kind of double down. And for me, there are these very basic key questions that if you do and if you use them, you can kind of, you can help figure out which idea you should follow. Typically what I talk about is this first one, we call it root cause analysis, right? Anyone who has children will relate to the problem, right? Your child wakes up and they come to you, what's the meaning of God? Huh? You ask them and they say, and you say, well, I don't know, God is there to protect us all. Yeah, but why is he there to protect us all? You say, well, because he cares for all of us. Then your child is going to ask you, well, why does he care for all of us, right? You've all been through these kinds of questions. What's great about root cause analysis questions is it helps you get to the essence of what are you really trying to get done, right? I find that a lot of people will go to people for advice. They haven't spent the time just taking a moment to really think through what they're trying to do at a little bit of a deeper level. And I think if you start with these 5 whys, why, just ask yourself 5 times why, you get to something really useful. And then you take that and then you ask yourself what we call 5 why plus H. Who is it for? What do they want? Where is this solution going to be delivered? When do they need it? How often do they use it, right? There are all these when. Then there's a question of why. Why is this the solution they're going to buy? Why is this the solution that makes sense for the actual problem you've identified? And then ultimately the how problem, which you use to then test against what you did before. This business viability, technical feasibility, user desirability. You ask the question now, you go back with your 5 H's to ask yourself, hey, that thing I came up with in abstract, will it actually work? And this is a great way to test it. Then after doing that, the last for me is about speed. This is back to execution. The biggest opportunity right now in AI is to not wait, is to think through all these things I'm talking about, but not spend your time in think land and get lost there, is to balance thinking with doing. And the balance on speed are 3 things. First is to think about whatever opportunity you pick, you should be able to learn very, very quickly. Even if you do all this thinking and you launch, chances are you're not going to get it perfect. So the key thing is learning cycles. Ask yourself, how quickly can I iterate through this product and learn quickly? That's 1. 2, then is delivering value, right? As you go through learning cycles to learn what your customer actually wants, you've got to figure out how quickly you can deliver something of value. And the best way to measure that is to charge for a service, right? Many of us get into the habit of thinking I should launch a product that's free, because if I launch it for free, people will at least use it. Don't get trapped in that space. And I'm not suggesting every business needs to charge for product on day 1. But what I'm suggesting is figure out what that value is that you can measure in a very unemotional way and prove that as early as possible. And then iterate on your product. One of the things I'll tell you is secret to look for funding from angel investors or VCs is that if you iterate on your product often and early, we trust you more. The reason is lots of people talk. Very few people actually do, and do consistently and deliver. I would bet you part of the reason you all like, Dr. Okwe, and you've shown up in this room, to me, is he promised you all something, 2-3 months ago. He said, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to learn these new things. I'm going to package them up into a training course, and I'm going to end up showing, you all how to do these things over X number of successive days. And what has he done? Here you are on day 14 or 15 of 21 days. And every single day he's shown up for 3 to 5 hours, and he's done what he said he was going to do. When you look, when an investor or anyone who wants to get involved in your company thinks that they want to come support you, whether that's an introduction or to give you money, it's do what you say you're going to do. And the only way to do that is to get your product and to ship and put the product in customers' hands often, and do that fast. And if you do that, believe me, you may not even need money from other people because your customers will pay you, right? So to me, think again, and then do with haste, right? Act with haste and build what you're trying to build. All right, so you do all of those things. Now we get to the AI portion. I know most of you are like, I thought this guy was going to talk about AI, but then he went on this tangent. And the reason I do that, for me, AI is almost like the easy part because everybody's talking about it today. But figuring out of all the AI opportunities out there, which one makes sense for you, I think is one of the hardest things to figure out, because 100%. You can get enamored by 50 things. But which one makes sense for you? Why are you the one to go after this particular opportunity? The only thing that we all have that is not renewable is our time. We all have a limited amount and it's not renewable. So my only thing is make sure you go after the ones that make sense for you. Again, back to your own personal motivation and goals, but also the ones where you actually have some expertise in. And the expertise, don't get me wrong, isn't expertise that says I was a doctor for 20 years, therefore I should only pursue medical stuff. To me, the expertise can come from a different approach. I'll keep using Dr. Okwe as an example. Here's a gentleman that studied law, and 90% of the business he's in has nothing to do with being a lawyer. But I think you'd all agree he's a great marketer. He's a logical problem solver. And he's a person who gets in front of technology ideas very quickly. He likes it a little bit, and he's able to sort of leverage and extract his ability to learn quickly. And that's actually maybe more of his skill set that is relevant. And so almost any business where learning quickly, applying technology, turning it into a digital product, and then delivering a solution for a group of people that you can market to quickly, that's his competency. So he's bringing those things together, and that opens up the aperture of ideas. He's not only looking at law type startups or opportunities. It's not just legal things. It's anything that has that core competency that is his, that's innate to him. And to me, every one of us has a genius in something or some collection of things. And so the opportunity for you is to think about which one of those things make the most sense for you to leverage. And then you go to this last piece, which is the AI. So to me, the last question to really jump into before you get into like evaluating AI specifically is to look at the implications of AI. So I asked two questions. Number one, what will AI let you do that was not possible or commercially, let's say, feasible or viable before you leveraged AI? Again, ask that question of this business, of this opportunity I'm going after. What is it that AI will let me do that was not feasible before? The reason that is a critical question is that AI should, if you use AI for the baseline basic thing that everybody else is going to do, chances are that business will have a shorter lifespan. And if it has a shorter lifespan, like I said before, that might be okay for the goal you're trying to do, but at least you're going into it with your eyes wide open, because the opportunity might simply be you have a market that you want to exploit for a short period of time. But without asking this question and going to build a business where you actually need AI to be a defensible strategy would be a mistake. So I always ask people to make sure they think about that question. And then the very next question tied to that is, what are the implications of using AI on that actual business? Because not only do you need to figure out what that thing that AI does that is different, but the implications of using AI, especially when you think about time horizon, now, near, and far. So in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, versus a year from now, versus 5 years from now, is that every competitor that comes into that space is going to leverage the same AI you're using. And in fact, if you look at 90% of the AI tools that we're all looking at out there, most of them, for example, you were talking about video today, 80% of all those AI tools can be leveraged, are interchangeable, because most of them are not actually that different. Most of them are simply a UI and prompt layer on top of ChatGPT, OpenAI's infrastructure, Anthropic's infrastructure, Google's infrastructure, right? They're not that different because many of them are just a layer of AI on top of something they were doing before. So you need to ask yourself, if I go into this space and all my competitors do as well, what is my differentiation, right? And again, these are not reasons to stop and be paralyzed not to take action. They're just things to go into the business with your eyes wide open. So to me, the implication of AI has a time horizon question: now, near, and far. In the now, there's maybe one solution that says I should just use these things to get a market advantage, or to get speed to market and be the first one doing it in my space. In the near term, maybe when my competitors all do it, then by then I will have trained maybe a unique model that is different, that is on my own proprietary data, so that then I have something that the types of questions my AI can help solve are different than what my competitors might do. And then maybe in the far term, you use maybe what you've been able to achieve in the now and the near to exploit some far down the road opportunity. The point is just have a thought process behind it. You don't have to have a big strategy and think for 5 years and have a 10-year business plan. I'm not suggesting that. All I'm saying is think a little bit before you jump. And again, I keep coming back to thinking now with AI as your co-pilot to help you. You can do all of these things I'm describing in one day, right? So, this is not something that should paralyze you. All right. So you get to this point. Now I think you really then should be looking at the great use cases for AI. So to me, these are some of the best ones that we're seeing out there. And if you map a lot of the tools that have been exposed to you in this last 2 weeks and onwards, you will find that many of them are in this general space. So let me go through each of them. So autocomplete is where maybe most of us were actually familiar with AI. If you go back into typing on your phone or in Google search or something, you'll notice they were just completing your sentences. In fact, ChatGPT is just a much more advanced version of autocomplete that predicts what it thinks the next set of things are, right? And so this idea of autocomplete is very, very powerful because you can think of many, many use cases where that ability to sort of just think a little bit ahead of what somebody needs and autocomplete something for them is a great case for where you can leverage AI in the business you're building or to solve somebody else's problem. And so that's one of the use cases we're seeing a lot. The second is this concept of a co-pilot or an assistant. I think Microsoft, in all of the stuff they showed with Bing, they keep using this co-pilot analogy. And I think it's a powerful one because the idea of having this smart person or this personal assistant on your shoulder beside you that you can work with, right, is very powerful. And I think as you all think about where you can leverage these tools and these business models, if you ask yourself, where can I bring this co-pilot or this assistant kind of mentality into something that solves a problem for my customers in a really unique way? It might be the opportunity. I think that's probably the one that is most readily apparent for a lot of people. Then I use this third one called personal tutor as a, it's like a personal assistant, but I use tutor a little bit different because I think the need for education and helping someone learn something very specific and nuanced is helpful, but different than the co-pilot or assistant. My assistant, I'm kind of telling it what to do, and I want it to take instruction. While on the personal tutor side, I'm almost already by default of thinking of it as a tutor, telling it I don't know something. Rather than in the assistant one, I kind of want to command. While in the personal tutor one, you might want to kind of think about what data or what training you want to bring to that AI so that because the user's use case in that sense is they want to be educated, right? Many of you have heard about these two tools, one called HeyPi, the other one being, ChatGPT or Bard or Bing. Bard, Bing, and ChatGPT, I would put in the world of assistants, right? They can be really good tutors, but they're not by default initially prompted that way, right? But if you think of them as tutors, it's now something more like what HeyPi, their sort of application where it is asking you a lot of questions is more of like a tutor. And so my thing is think about the difference in those two use cases and think about which AI you leverage and how you tune it to solve those two different cases. The next one is summarization. Summarization is one of those things where AI is brilliant at doing because you can summarize in so many different ways. One of the tools you've probably heard of, Notion, you've heard of Jasper AI. They're all these tools for writing. They're great summarization tools. And some of the genius of their summarization is that they can help you summarize with a different twist. Summarize this as a certain role. So as a lawyer, as a comedian, as a whatever. And so you can transform text from one form to another or summarize it, either elaborate or summarize, right? But you're doing that with a purpose. And so that's another great case where if you think about what you're building, where can summarization be useful? And then one of the classic uses of AI, even before kind of this new world of generative AI, is classification, right? And classification is all about sort of saying, is just sorting, right? Is it this or is it that? And so there are all these incredible use cases where classification is very helpful. One I was studying recently was, I do a podcast with two friends of mine, and we were talking about trash collecting business. And the people who take the trash from my house, I hadn't seen them actually physically come and taking the trash in years. I used to remember a trash vehicle that would show up, and there were two guys hanging out on the side of the trash vehicle, one driving, and then the guy would stop the car, the truck, and two guys would get out. They would take the trash cans, they would put it on the back of the truck. It would dump the truck, and then put the trash can back, and the guys would go drop it off. And I'm driving one day about 3-4 weeks ago, and noticed that there was only one person driving the trash truck. And I was like, okay, so how inefficient, how stupid. I was already like yelling, in the car, like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This company was trying to save cost by going to one driver. Now the guy has to get out of the truck. To my surprise, the guy parked the vehicle. He didn't even turn it off. And a robotic arm comes out, grabs my trash can and empties the trash can into the truck, drops the trash can.
Get out of here. Get out
and I'm
of
like,
here.
what I was dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded. I was like, this is crazy. I live in the middle of I live in a rural area. And I was like, hold on a second. You're telling me I'm not in the middle of town. And the trash company had already figured out how to go to one person and use a robot. Now, imagine that same trash company is probably thinking, where do I get rid of the driver and have an autonomous vehicle go do this thing? Because usually they pick up the trash early or late in the day, not usually when there's rush hour. So this thing probably you probably get a driverless trash vehicle faster than you get a passenger car. I was just dumbfounded. So I started researching more use cases for AI in trash collecting. Come to find out, a trash company in Colorado, when all the trash vehicles arrive back, they have these conveyor belts. And all the trash that goes on the conveyor belt is passed through an AI computer vision system that looks at what the actual trash is on the belt. And then it fiddles them into these trash collection bins. Plastic bottles here, recyclable material here, compost there, and it's doing all the sorting. When I went to find out more about the company, I find a video of the CEO, and the CEO said, I wasn't looking to be more efficient and fire people. But over COVID, I realized I can't get people back to work at the wages I need to pay. And it turns out that anytime I have people call in sick and they don't show up for work, our line is backed up. And so they went reluctantly to this AI system, and it turns out it's super efficient. So, my point to you is classification. There's so many use cases way before ChatGPT ever showed up. My point is, it's still an opportunity today. And I'll give you one more example. I have a 6-year-old son who is on the autism spectrum. And my son is brilliant, but because of his autism, he's not fully verbal yet. His speech is still delayed in some areas. And so I've been asking myself for years, how can I leverage all of my love of technology to figure out how I can change his circumstances? And then I realized classification. Even though he's not speaking all the time, he has behaviors and mannerisms that are very repeatable. And we know once we see them and recognize them now, we know exactly what he's really looking for. And so what I've done now is throughout my house, I have a bunch of cameras. And all those cameras are simply just recording him during the day. And so what I'm building is a model that takes in all of this video footage around times where he's happy, when he's sad, when he's angry, when he's hungry, whatever it is. And I'm basically taking all of that video footage as input to classify with a classifier to help me say, when he does this thing, by the way, Nathan wants X. When Nathan does this thing, it precipitates this kind of behavior. And so by classifying his behavior on video, we'll then take the audio from that to see if there are patterns. And so, and the crazy part is, I don't need $1 billion to do that. The hardware costs for each of these cameras are $100 a piece. And the ability, and then you put a memory card in and you have the video stored. And then you feed it into models that I can show you, you can subscribe. Many of them allow you a free tier based on the amount of processing you're doing. Like, this is not something where you need to be a rocket scientist and a billionaire to do. This is a simple father with a little bit of motivation able to do that. My point is, there's a lot of crazy businesses you can get into with this stuff. All right, so prediction. Classification is one thing, but then maybe after you classify, you can predict, right? Prediction is an interesting one where it may not even be about necessarily 100% certainty in many cases, because we know a lot of the LLMs right now have what we call hallucination, where they make mistakes. They can be very convincing liars if you don't tune them the right way. But prediction can still be helpful if it's not 100% perfect. If you're in the legal practice and you're trying to help somebody stay out of jail, maybe you need 99.9% certainty. But if you're simply trying to help somebody figure out what dress to buy, you may not need 100% accuracy. So don't let that stop you in using predictive sort of models to help you get some outcome in the business you're building. The obvious one here for AI is this next one, scaling and augmenting, right? You can use AI to scale a lot of different processes and systems and augment some of them. And I use them interchangeably, but augmenting sometimes to me is to enable, right? Scaling might suggest getting rid of people and using machines to do more things. Augmenting to me says maybe you give your people AI to make them more superhuman, to give them more things, to scale your process, to take a team of 10 people, and now they can do yeoman's work by giving them AI and allowing them to do the work of 35 people now because they're that much more productive. One of the next kind of uses here of all these AI tools that I think you want to think about is removing steps in a process. To me, one of the brilliant sort of minds out there, he's passed away now, is a guy called Clay Christensen. And he has this framework out there called the jobs to be done theory. And the example he uses is more about milkshakes and why people drink milkshakes. And it turns out if you were trying to kind of figure out to get into the milkshake business, most of us would have gotten it wrong because we would assume people cared about the flavor and all these things. And when they did a lot of studies into this thing, I'm bastardizing the thing drastically by just trying to get to a point quickly. But the milkshake business, it turned out when they did this research, most people were buying milkshakes because a uniquely American thing is to drive sitting in traffic, eating your breakfast on the way to work. And it turns out a milkshake, for many of the people who were buying milkshakes, bought it because they could sit there and it would last longer than just eating a burger or eating, a croissant in the morning for breakfast. And so the point he makes just is that when you think about removing steps in a process, you want to really think about the job to be done for that customer. And when you think about that job to be done, there might be steps you can remove in that process. I'll give you another example that's maybe a better example is when my wife tells me she wants to put some more artwork on the wall. I wake up and I say, okay, I'm going to a hardware store like Home Depot in the US. And when I go to Home Depot to go buy nails, hammer, picture frame, all these things, I don't want any of those things. They're just a means to the end. If Home Depot offered a picture hanging service where I could push a button and just have that picture on the wall or have somebody else come and do it, I would prefer that. So the point is, for some people, when you say, I need to put a picture on the wall, for some people, their solution might be, I want to go to Home Depot, buy tools. I enjoy it. I like roaming around the store, buying the tools and the joy of the job. Other people just want the task done. And so how many opportunities are there out there for you to think about leveraging AI where you just remove steps in the process, and that's the value you provide to the customer you're focused on. So you may not even have to reinvent a whole industry. You just find something somebody else is doing that requires way too many steps, and you identify an audience of people that say, you know what, removing these steps helps me, and then just go do that. The next version of removing steps is automation, right? Automation is, to me, one of those things where it might be AI, it may not be AI, but it is one of those best use cases for some of these technologies. I say to a lot of people, you may not need AI all the time, that if you use no code and automation in a lot of businesses, you can really reinvent those businesses and scale your efforts. And so to me, automating things and thinking about ways to do that requires less input from people is something to really take advantage of. And then the last one that sometimes is counterintuitive because everybody thinks about AI and the robots taking advantage and like putting us all out of a job and all this crazy stuff. To me, AI is actually one of the best ways to be more human to your customer. And these are the ways to think about that. One, you can think about AI as a way for you to process more data faster and pull these different sources of data in a way that was not economically viable for you to do before, and bring it to the people who interface with your customer the most. So when you talk to that customer, you're much more prepared. You understand their issues better. You understand exactly how to solve their problem, maybe in ways that they haven't even analyzed. There's some interesting data sources out there where you can go and analyze your customer's entire website and see the technologies they're using. And then you might run that against ChatGPT or Bard or Bing, Anthropic, any of these tools, and then say, based on what I now know about this customer, what are people like them in their industry doing? And what is the latest and greatest opportunity to fix something for that customer? And then you show up with the solution already, or you show up with case studies of what their competitors have done and how your solution helps solve that thing. So to me, the opportunity for personalization and just delighting your customer, saying, you know what, like I'll give you an example from years ago. I went to a casino to a hotel in Vegas called the Wynn Casino, the Steve Wynn's Casino hotel in Vegas. And what they did, I don't know what they were using at the time, but it's about personalization. I showed up, and because they had done your reservation on the key card, they didn't just give you a random key card for your room, but it had my name printed on the card. So I was like, okay, this is cool. They knew I was coming, and they had my name already on the thing. But on the first day, I get to my room, I ordered room service for breakfast. I had a long day of meetings and all that. So I was very particular about, I want brown sugar when I called for room service. And for the next 3 days, I didn't have to remind them that I wanted brown sugar. Now, 3.5 years later, I returned to that same hotel. And I kid you not, they had brown sugar for me waiting in my room. That to me was incredible, right? Incredible, because somebody built a CRM, they remembered me as a customer, and they kept that in the system. And then somebody had the good gumption to bring it back out the day I was showing back up again at their hotel. That's a level of service. And the crazy part is, what am I doing to you all now? I'm marketing for their casino because of it. I'm selling for them now because of that experience.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That to me, we think of AI as this way to be impersonal and automate and do all this crazy stuff. But I tell you, some of the people that are going to win with AI are those that personalize experiences, and then they put it to the frontline salespeople. I'll give you one last example. One of the folks that to me have been using this personalization the most is, if you look at financial services. I have many friends who are financial planners, and 80% of what they do is really sales today, and making customers feel heard, because all of the processing of like, how should I manage your portfolio and all this stuff is being done by AI behind the scenes. But these companies recognized that before you give up your life savings, your earnings, to somebody to manage, it's about trust and relationships. And what better way than for them to remember your family, your kids, when they're graduating, all these things. And so these companies are putting a lot of effort into personalization, because they understand that human touch is still critical. And I think some of the businesses that will win are just ones who do the same thing. You sell the same, porridge as somebody else. You sell the same thing, but you just personalize better. So anyway, my point is, AI has lots of use cases. Think really deeply about how best to leverage it. And then at the bottom, I put 3 things there. I won't go into them too much here today. I didn't want to run too long here, because this is very much a soliloquy, a monologue, right? And I want to maybe pause and stop. And this is really my last point to make. But with AI, if you want to get more advanced, right now we think about ChatGPT. I hear it every day. If you remember when I started, I showed you the microphone portion, and I talked about multimodal. The opportunity with multimodal is to think about different ways people will interact, not just chat or text, right? But thinking about the combination of audio, video, photos into an application. So for example, if you're going to build an app for someone, your app can actually use multimodal AI as well as multi-model AI. What I mean by that are 2 different things. Multimodal says I'm using video, audio, and maybe voice, right? In this application. But multi-model says I actually don't have to use only one AI tool, one model in there. So underlying your solution you might use ChatGPT for what it's best at. And then you might take a Google computer vision API and leverage that for it. And then you might go to Anthropic because you say, you know what, for my use case, the reasoning engine that it uses is much better, right? And so you mix these different things for different purposes in your solution in a way that's oblivious to your customer. And so you can take these different models, put them together, and create different input ways to interact with them. And then you create these really interesting solutions that are combining things together. And then the last bullet point there is about autonomous agents. If you want to really get more advanced, is to think about agents that are doing things on behalf of you and your customers behind the scenes already, right? So think about mixing some of the things I talked about here, like removing steps or predicting and saying, could I create these smart AIs in the background that, you know, takes an input, for example, might be, you know, maybe the first step in your business process is to do like a sit down with your customer and take in their like a needs assessment, right? So you might have them fill out a very short survey and then get onto a phone call. And then during that phone call, you ask the customer, you say, you know, we would like to record all of our intake calls. We want to make sure we can review them with our staff and all these things. So you get the okay, but you record that 20-minute call that's free. Then you feed that call into your AI that then transcribes that audio to text. Then you take that and then you have different agents, one of them whose job is to analyze that phone call for marketing purposes. Another one is to take that phone call and analyze it for training purposes. But then you have one that's saying, okay, now based on what the customer said here, go out and look at all the different solutions we might have and come back with a recommendation for the salesperson before they contact the customer. Another agent might be taking that same thing to say, now let's go do research on everything we know about the competition of that particular customer before we go back to them. My point is you can build these systems that have different purposes, all working cohesively to come back with one solution for your company. So I want to pause there. I've been talking in a way I don't like to without pause. Is really where I wanted to stop this talk today. I didn't want to go on too much longer. I know that there's a lot more to talk about in all of this stuff, but come to the conference. We're going to talk a lot more about these things. We'll go deeper, but I just wanted to stop there. Dr. Akpet, thank you for giving me the time.
Wow, guys. Guys, put some emoji in the chat for me wherever you are. This is what is called advanced class. This is Harvard level. Things that even me, I've not even thought about. I just have to be doing screenshots here. Bring up that slide, the slide before this one. Please bring it back. That slide. Okay, guys, you need to screenshot this. This is the cocoa the man just dropped right here. Oh my God. Jesus. This is a old guys, I told you, the man a Google man, you know? So, you know, they've mapped out our life. Everything don't finish. So the point here is that, guys, you cannot tell me, just listening to these 10 points, forget even every other thing before. This one sheet of paper is where your millions are, is where your entrance is. Seriously, that's the way I'm thinking. Because here is made it so basic where you can see your own little wall, just hold that one. If there's classification you want to go specializing, you can start today. If it is summarization, there's a whole different market for that. I've never thought like this, and now I'm seeing it in even much more clearly how this feature is going. Thank you so much. Before I let you guys loose on him and ask him questions, I myself have some. Let me just do a little bit of summary for because when a man like that talks, it's just going. I'm like, oh my God, this is, I don't even know. Okay, yes, we recorded it, thank God. So guys, he said several things. Let me break it down to our own level of small boy, right? Guys, he says something very profound. His very first statements about the vision, about where do you want to engage this. Guys, to me, that is probably the most important for most of you, especially who are coming to contact for the first time with this. This last part is for me and guys like me who have been flirting around with this AI thing. How do we want to hold it? How do we want to hold it? This one, this number 7, is gold for me. But for you, if you are out there maybe today's your first time. Maybe you have been around this thing less than a month. He said something that I've been trying to say in so many words, but he said it right. That vision part. What do you want with this AI thing? You got to clarify that early and quick. Otherwise, you will end up in the proverbial rabbit hole. Like I entered in 2001, 2002, 2003 when I started digital business. Because I had no plan, I was just excited about everything. So I had no vision. And when you have vision, don't see the way you explain it. Don't be thinking over big. Ask a question. What do you want? How do you want it? That to me should be your first exercise, your first take-home pay. When we do show and tell on Saturdays, I would love to hear, and I'm talking to Business 360 Inner Circle Club guys. We are going to be talking about that. I want to know what is your vision. How do you want to hold down this industry? Because you can get swept away so easily. And you won't even know that you are in underwater until 4 years. At that point, it's all over. Do you understand? Everybody is already getting the gist. But if you grab it today, any area you hold, it is still like it just started. So thank you so much, Lekan, for putting it in that such a powerful way that I could never have. So guys, it's the first assignment I did because I knew enough to know that that is number one for me. But most of you still don't get it. And I'm glad that it was the first statement out of his mouth. You got to lock down. Don't get over carried away by all the excitement. Where are you going to hold this? That's why I told you guys earlier, you are telling me some software that I told you I've not even checked because I know where I want to be and that is where I'm staying. Thank you so much for that. Then, another thing I wanted to point out here, okay, beyond all of the stuff that he said, one nugget that he mentioned that I've not seen. Actually, I've been thinking like the crowd, which is unlike me, that AI is going to lead to more impersonalization. But Lekan just made an argument now that made 1 million sense. Can realize that AI actually gives you the best opportunity to personalize stuff with your customers. I've never had that said. Everybody who's ever talked about this, they've been talking about as if humanity is losing itself, humanity, we are going to be separated from each other. Nobody's going to be able to personalize. And he backed it up with some examples, which is even going to go to a whole new level now because AI allows you to do that. AI allows you, you know what your client likes to have for breakfast. AI allows you to deliver it. Your client does, when they say personalization, in case you guys are not getting it, the way all of us were thinking about it first is from the deliverer of the message to the service provider to the service consumer. Meanwhile, to the service consumer, personalization, do I get what I want when I want it? They don't care who gave it to them. That part, most of us don't think. I mean, don't think about, for instance, you are very correct. I love aisle seats. If you put me in window seat, I'm going to be miserable. If you put me in middle seat, I'm not traveling. My wife knows that. If they say it's only middle seat available, I would rather miss the flight and go next flight. Yes. So now with AI, even Delta already got that. When I told her I'm not traveling a couple of times and it became a big issue, this was maybe 4 years ago. Since that time, every time I get my ticket is aisle seat because the least I've been is a platinum in the last maybe 7 years. I've been diamond several times, then dropped to platinum. So they know I'm a valued customer. I only fly Delta. So my wife used to wonder, how come you always get? So they've killed it on their system. So that, right? That's what happened. It's not the agents doing it. So the thing is like when they are booking, oh my God. So that is personalization, not who is doing it. AI might be the one helping you to do it, but the client doesn't care. If the man likes to eat pomo, he opens his window, his bowl, his bowl, and his pomo that is there. Doesn't think he cares whether he says, yeah, I put it there. And guys, so for me now, that is a major takeaway here. Because then I'm realizing that, yeah, it is true that many areas I can get more personal with my clients now. And if you are personal with your clients, they never leave you. They don't leave you. They talk well about you. Look at him talking about a hotel that he doesn't have any connection with, that, oh, that hotel. And anytime he has opportunity to travel now, he finally will want to go there because they treat him right. That is so amazing. I love contrarian thought. I've never thought of it that way. Okay, we are even going to more areas of personalization is what it meant. But where are you there, guys? Now I'm challenging you guys. Where are you going to be? You can personalize any area of your business. Just think about it. Ask the right guys. I'm sure there's a tool out there now, or a tool that you can create if it's not there yet. I see some lawyers. I even see some judges on this course who are my friends. I'm talking to some of you here. As a judge, as a top lawyer, there are ways you can personalize your clients, personalize your judgment, personalize the way you run your court. Once we start thinking that way, because before, I see also my friend that is into real estate. Big guy, probably has a lot. I'm not going to mention it, don't worry. So the idea is to start thinking it. How can I personalize my rentals better than I am now? And AI is there, which will bump us, for those of us who decide to go that route. Before you know it, you're actually at the top of your heap, even though you're not doing anything new other than reorganizing your. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough, but I'll stop now. I have my notes are full here, as you can see, but let me allow other guys. They don't say, they will tell me that you brought the man and are you the consumer by yourself? Oh yeah, guys, he's here. If you have any question, whether you're on Clubhouse, whether you're on G-Stars, I saw, and as a testimony to Lekan's presentation, we actually didn't lose anybody on Zoom. We started at 57, 55 or so, and we actually increased. Typically, the numbers go down as the presentation wears off. They actually stayed and got more, which is something else. I'm not blaming them. I wasn't going anywhere. All right, guys, if you have any question, Lekan, on anything, on his presentation, anything to do with tech, obviously you guys can see the man, not only is this season, this is what he loves, and that was how my conversation went with him. Who would have thought about trying to map the behavior of the child in the house so that I can find a solution that can help only an AI mind. Are you sure you're not AI, Lekan? Are you sure you're not AI? Your mic is with them because it makes sense. Because then he can then use technology to help his child. Because all we need is a there now. The way I see it, all you need to do is there. AI is ready to help you. Guys, oh yeah, bring your question. If you're on Zoom, raise up your hand if you want to come up and ask a question. If you are too shy, then Prof, I think Prof is here somewhere. Hold on, okay, Prof is there. Prof, please, you can go if you have any questions for Lekan for now while I'm sorting out the people here. Guys, if you have questions, raise up your hand. I'll pull you up. If you're on the Clubhouse, I'm sure you can hear him very well. You may want to come up and ask him, he will hear you. Gist House, you have seen him now. I told you I got these guys. They're here now. It's time to ask questions. Okay, people? Yeah, enough of emoji. Okay, you've given plenty of emoji. Are you telling me you don't have questions for this man? Oh, yeah, I'm waiting for your questions. Either you come up. What is the link to the webinar? You are in the webinar, Lynette. Okay, you want to invite people. Let me see if I can get the link. Here is the link, Lynette. I just posted it to you. That's the link to the webinar, but I'm looking at you right here. So you are here. Okay, guys, any questions, observations? Yeah, it's in the webinar. The webinar is in the, oh, you mean the, sorry, let's talk about the summit. Let me go look for the link. Sorry, I should have posted that. It's because I am not promoting it aggressively now because we have one by a very good friend and a group of friends coming up on the 25th. So I didn't want to start cross-promoting that since it's also an AI conference. Let me see if I can find the one for the national, I'll give you both. The one for the influencers conference, which is one coming up on the 25th. Lekan is also going to be speaking there, by the way, on the National Influencers Conference coming up on the I think it's 25th to 27th. I'll find the address in a minute. Okay. And then I'll get the one that we are doing also. All right, people. Prof, where are you? Are you there? I think Prof is in here. Prof, you can unmute yourself. I think you can unmute where you are now if you're ready to talk. I'm trying to find a number. Prof, are you there? I think
Hello?
Prof is in the bucket.
Hello?
Okay. Hello, sir. I thought you were in Buckingham Palace.
We just came down from the special service, special royal service.
Okay.
I wanted to find him. Thank you, Lekan. What do you consider the lowest hanging fruits in ease of implementation and return on investment of all these AI tools, strategies, and modalities?
So the lowest hanging fruit, I think it still depends on the business. But really the bottom lowest hanging fruit, like anything that requires you to personally use it to deliver a service. So if you're any kind of service provider, just leveraging it to sort of either improve your knowledge or speed up your own personal execution, or the ability to deliver more things to more people, as just you using it personally as a sort of productized service, I think is the lowest hanging fruit, because you don't need any investment to do that. You're presumably already in that space. And this just makes you more, to me, that's an augmented human, makes you superhuman. And I think that's maybe the easiest, lowest hanging fruit.
Thank you.
All righty. I think that's a very good question. Everybody's looking for the lowest hanging fruit. Who wants to climb tree where you can just grab the fruit that is there? Best, I see you, Best Ikpeba. You say you want to come up. I've been trying to bring you up. I don't know what's wrong with your phone. If you can't get up, you can type. I will read it for Lekan for you. I've been trying to bring you up. Okay. Yes, they say you really need more of his ideas. The one he has given, let's use that one first. He has given plenty. If we can hold that one, if we can hold only one. Me, before I sleep tonight, I'm going to sleep for one. Then I'm holding. I like this personal tutor thing. That is the one I want to really develop, because that is closer to my niche. I'm going to be talking to Lekan more. How can we get into that one for the tool part, where one can have a software in that area, and even for myself. Because guys, these 10 things, if you can just look at it, put it in one word, because it's not like me that will use 100 words to describe one thing. But trust me, this is it right here. You just need to understand it enough. It wasn't even fast. If you are not following closely because it was dropping in so fast, I will give you this cut of Lekan's presentation. I'll make it available for everybody, even though I had said that all the training is going to be sold when the bootcamp is over. But this one, because I think from a man that is actually at the ground floor of this stuff, it's only fair for everybody to have a copy, go over it again, and then narrow down to one. At least start with one that you can get going on. And then from there, it might just simply be you looking at around you, like this automation thing. What are the things that can be automated right now that is around me? And that might be where your millions are, especially for those of you who are in Africa. Because now you don't need expensive equipment anymore. You don't need plenty investment of money to make a big difference in many areas in Nigeria now, just by applying automation to something very simple. What I'm going to do, guys, for those of us in the inner circle, this 10 stuff, I'm going to brainstorm more on it. I'm going to also pick Lekan's brain, because we talk all the time. We're always on a clubhouse, and actually look at specific stuff that people can do in each of these 10 areas, like this automation. I'm going to look at the Nigerian setting. I'm going to be going from thinking from industry to industry, see the kind of thing that you can automate easily with a software that is already out there. Your own job will simply be to go sell that service. You don't need to create anything. You don't need to, because if you can ease somebody's process by just a few bars, it's what money. People will pay you. You look like a genius. I was sharing with you guys before Lekan came in, about how I was able to use a template website, WordPress, to give the number 2 or number 3 bank in Nigeria in 2014 to create a site for a special type of customers they have. I don't want to give too much details. You guys will know the bank I'm talking about. They paid me 30 million naira for something that cost me less than $500,000. And that is even me being generous to my staff. We bought a template of Code Canyon for less than $100. And the guy just set it up and they were so excited. For years, they are still excited about it because they didn't know better. The fact that you got it for $5 does not mean that's what it's worth in the market. It is what is worth to the person buying. I told you about a guy that was paid 6 million naira, down payment plus expenses, which included traveling to South Africa, carrying crew and all that. His own fee was 6 million. Then the bank bought the expenses of his own crew to South Africa to do what? To go do explainer video. Lekan, explainer video. They said there's one genius in South Africa that knows how to do this explainer video. Blah. So that's the guy he went to give the job to. Meanwhile, in that time, 2013 or so, they've already started doing explainer videos in Fiverr for $10. Okay? So, but they didn't know. They didn't know. So it's like that here. All these tools that you guys are mentioning casually, Pictory, Synthesia, these are things that look like would be like magic to a big chunk of the world right now, even here in the US. I remember when I was telling my managing partner I've been talking about this AI everywhere I go now, right? But the man thought I was just joking about this thing. So about 2 weeks ago, finally, I was able to convince him, say, why don't you let us try this? I told him I wanted to train all the paralegals. I've been threatening that they don't do their work, they don't learn it. I'm going to fire all of them. Then I'm starting to extend it to the lawyers a little. That I want the lawyers too to get in there. So he was like, stop joking and all of that. So, and I told him that he was writing one brief one time. He was in office on Sunday. I called him, he said it's in the office. This is 2 weeks ago or less. It's after I came back from Atlanta. So it's less than 2 weeks. So he said he was in the office at 6 p.m. I said, what is it? He said he's writing this brief about this and this. He's been doing this since Thursday. And this was Sunday. I said, Nedu. Now what for you? Why will you need to do this? Why don't you use ChatGPT at least to get the draft out? Then you can then make sure you cite the cases it gives you so that it doesn't hallucinate, you double check. He said, he cannot do this, he cannot do that. I said, what do you mean cannot do? What is it about? So I got in the car. I went to the office. I said, yeah, tell me about this case. So he gave me the basic synopsis, which to me was even laughable in terms of what I know ChatGPT can do, what I've used ChatGPT to do. So I just said, okay, let's use your system. And then we open ChatGPT on his own system. I said, yeah, type this thing there. I'm a lawyer. I want to write I need a draft brief regarding this scenario. The guy put enter. You see, cha. He use Google Bard. He fucking freaked out. He's like, no, it's not possible. Complete. I'm talking about the thing. Complete with the edit, the way you edit your stuff in court, all the way to boom, in 30 seconds. And that's what I'm talking to you. Now it's big. It's like, no, what the last month? I said, of course. There are paralegals right now, which is basically summarization, is part of summarization, automation, a paralegal without doing anything else. You just focus on law firms. You just focus on them, that you are going to be helping them to write their brief, finish, or you're going to do research for their brief, whatever it is they pay paralegals for. Charge them half of the price even. Deliver fast. Before you know, they will all be, because they don't know. Most lawyers, even here, my law firm is not in Nigeria, guys. It's right here in Nebraska, USA. Okay? Many of the lawyers, even in this town, they don't know ChatGPT. They don't know Google Bard. Even if they heard about it, it's in their rear view mirror, like some kind of software. So these 10 things, that's all you need to do. This personal tutor thing, what will it cost you to go learn how I can get in there? The tutors are already there. I mean, the AIs are already there. Guys, this is why we are doing this 21-day thing. Lekan just broke it down in a way that makes it easy for everybody. Autocomplete. That one didn't even hit me. I'm like, why will he list with that one first? I really wasn't feeling that. But when he got a co-pilot, when he got a personal tutor, then summarization. That part, some of you have not even started thinking yet. Editors who edit their stuff. They can post an article and say, I want it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You know, so when I think of Nigeria, if you
Yeah.
think of another way to think about these things is to think of frustrations and ask yourself, what frustrations do these things help solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a cell phone now. How many things in Nigeria do you need that require standing in line, taking a bus, going across town, spending 4 hours to go do something that could be done smarter? Every one of those things, if you think about personalization, you think about autocomplete, you think about prediction, just think anything that is in your control to deliver a service that today requires a customer, a business partner, or someone to travel a long distance, stand in line, to fill out pieces of paper to do. Every one of those are use cases. Every single one of those things. If it creates a frustration that requires travel, filling out something that you know the data exists somewhere, we can make it smarter, faster, more delightful, that by the time they show up with their phone, they could have done it on their way there, sent it to you in advance, something happens magically in the cloud, and when they show up, delight, focus on those opportunities.
Awesome, guys. I hope you guys are listening. They will not do everything for you. It's not for you to put on your thinking cap, but because I know many of us are even still either, I'm not going to say intellectually lazy, because sometimes this thing sounds so easy, your brain will not even go there because you are looking for complicated solutions. What we are going to do, Lekan, and I'm going to harass some more of that. I'm going to get these 10 things, and what I want to do is then start taking them one by one. What are some of the specifics that people can do in this area? And then put it out there for some of them, because you and me now, I'm seeing so many possibilities. Just look at this list. Everybody's not like that. We have been working with this. You have been working with this for years. Me, I've been this almost exclusively now, 2.5 months. The way I'm thinking about it now is different. Okay. Now, some of them, they're still frozen and like, okay, this is still like they're just talking. This is just, even INEC can use this thing, classification. They just need to sit down and do their thing well. Can you imagine? So we need to then break it down to little sub stuff that can be done under each of those, and then present it. I'll be presenting to you guys. For those of you who have not yet joined Business 360 Inner Circle, I want to encourage you. It's only $10 a month. Okay, $10 a month. I put it at a price that everybody can afford. So your question, your problem will not be, oh, I cannot afford this. Let me quickly share that before, since I don't see any of you raising questions yet. Let me quickly use the opportunity while you're thinking. I know Lekan has turned all of you into silence. Lekan, you want to stop sharing so that I can share my screen. I want to show you guys very briefly, because this is your one opportunity to get into my one-on-one coaching program at a very ridiculous price. Obviously, this is not the one-on-one, but the best I can do for those of you who don't have money. Here it is. Even those who have money, this is the best program you can. It's Business 360 Inner Circle.com. I think that is what it is. Business 360 Inner Circle.com. Now, this is what I call more or less my group coaching, or college group hangout club, which allows you to continue to interact with me, and I'm sure I'm going to be able to coerce Lekan and Prof and Co to be guests on our WhatsApp group in case you guys have questions. It's my own way of being able to continue to work with some of you even as I continue to also grow myself. It's called Business 360 Inner Circle. What you get, I call it the most affordable super club that anyone can get into. And this is what you get. It's very simple. Number one, as a member of the club, you get a new exclusive training video in the members area every week. One of them is what we just talked about, like all those 10 stuff. But as I'm beginning to figure it out, I may just do a short video on each of them that will narrow down to what you can do with a name for it or with where to go for it, stuff like that. Once a week, I will do one exclusive video that is not going to be shared anywhere. I'm just going to record it on my own, then I'll share it in the members area. You also get access to my Business 360 coaching vault. Now, this to me is the biggest value that I can get. The vault itself, if I were to charge $1,000 a month, it is worth it because practically most of my training for the last 8 to 10 years, other than some of my master classes that I sell for $3,000, $2,000. But even then, I included some of those. I'm talking about hundreds of videos. You get access to it for as long as you're a member of this Business 360 Club. That alone is worth more than that your $10 times 100 times. Okay, you get access to that for as long as you're a member of the club. Number 3, we do weekly hangouts. We call it Netpreneur Hangouts on Gist House. It's going to be a small hangout. I'm deliberately taking it to Gist House because I don't want it to be something everybody can enter. Because Gist House has a club like Clubhouse, but subscription. You have to be a member of the club before you can see what is happening in the club. We don't have that in Clubhouse right now. Yeah, you apply to be a member of a club, but in our case, we have subscription based. So what we then do is that instead of making you pay subscription, we give you free subscription as part of your membership, where once a week, we're just going to hang out with people like Lekan, people like Prof, Laura, and others who like to give value, Noel, and then we just talk about things to do with business. It won't necessarily be AI. It's a Business 360 Club. Everything is not AI. How can you go to the next level in your business? How can you do better as a person? Sometimes we talk business, sometimes we talk motivation, sometimes we talk life, but it's going to be our hangout once a week. You get to come to that. It's exclusive. Then in addition, number 4, you get admitted to the WhatsApp Inner Circle. Okay, we have a Business 360 Inner Circle WhatsApp chat room. It's like my own kind of group coaching, having some of my friends there where we all coach each other. So it's not just me. When you come in there, you have a question, you can ask it. If it is Lekan that know the answer, or me that know the answer, or somebody else who's a member, it's like an iron sharpens iron type of thing. And to let you guys know how serious I'm taking it this time, I've had these WhatsApp groups before, but I've never focused because I'm on more than 200 WhatsApp groups. Many of you have already seen that I'm deleting. I'm going to reduce my WhatsApp groups to 4. 1 for my church, 1 for Nigeria Lives Matter. All the Peter Obi 200 groups, I'm already deleting them or removing myself so that I can focus on this as my main place. Because if I wake up in the morning and I see WhatsApp messages from 200 places, it's difficult to be efficient for one group. Of course, the personal ones, those who message me will still message me, but the business-related ones is all collapsed to this. Even ChatGPT Business Club, I closed it yesterday for you guys to know how serious I am with this. So you get admitted there. Is my own group with our inner circle people, just for us to chat, discuss, and every once in a while answer questions for each other. The value for that is not quantifiable. If I'm going to charge for that, I don't think I'll charge less than $500 a month if I really want to charge the value. It won't be plenty people, but it'll be quality people that I can devote my time to. But I'm giving everybody opportunity for now as a way of introducing it. As I go on, obviously, I'm going to increase the prices to be able to make more money. After that's what this is all about. But as the initial people, your price will be grandfathered for the Business 360 Inner Circle. It's $10 you start with. That's what is going to be, whatever the price I increase it to. And of course, number 5, every month, I'm going to be giving you a free book of the month, either from one of my bestsellers in the past or one of the ones I'm writing. The important thing is that every month when you have a new book that will be released exclusively to you for free. Anybody else will be paying for it. None of my book is less than $29.99 from my Amazon days. If you are to check online now, you are not going to see any. Most are $39.99 for a reason. So you get at least one of those that will drop into your members area every month, ranging from motivation to business to law, whatever. So you get that as part of your benefit. Number 6, my master classes, for those of you who really know me, that's where I make most of my money apart from my one-on-one coaching, because that is when I sell between $297 to $3,000, depending on what it is. Any one of those as a member of the club wants to buy, when I release them, or the ones that are out there, whatever price I'm charging at the time, you get 50% off of that if you want it. You find it anywhere, even when I'm doing 90% discount, like I did some weeks ago. If you're a member of the club and you want to buy that stuff at the time, you get 50% in addition to that 50% of the 10% that remain. As a member of the club, it's a big one. And finally, 20% on all my softwares. I've not released any software in the last 3 years other than G-Stars that I've been fooling around with. Now I need to go into software that will make me money, enough fooling around. I'm going to be launching my first AI software early next month. It's called Funnelmatic, and it's an AI-powered funnel builder. Now, everybody that gets that from the club, you're also going to get an extra 20% discount. It's a $497 a month software, but when I do the launching, I probably will do like 70% off. So it's going to be something like about $197 or so is what I'm thinking, or $147 per month. But you will get whatever the price is, you get 20% off in addition if you want it. You don't have to buy, of course. But if you like any of my softwares and decide that you want to get it as a member of the club, it is somebody keeps saying, hold on, let me get the right link. They keep telling me this link is not working. And I just went there, but let me just get you the raw link from the website. Hold on a second here, right here. This is the raw link right here. Can you check that for me, guys, and let me know if that one is working? The Business 360 Inner Circle Club. I'm going to have to beg Lekan to come and be my special guest there, to be a guest staff. I'll be a guest guru himself and Prof. Please don't go and buy you, because Lekan might decide just to let me just give that man $10. You cannot. Now, I'm supposed to be the one paying you. So please, all right, guys, working, guys. Right now, it's only $10 a month. And I feel that that's the minimum you should do if you feel that you want to continue to interact with me, or you are getting value for the value I've been giving for the last 15 days. And I'm going to keep giving. Even after the boot camp, I'm sure, apart from our weekly meeting, I'm sure I'm probably still going to have some kind of daily meetings going on. That might be open because we need to keep sharpening the iron. If you're in Nigeria, there are 2 buttons. When you get to the page, there's a link for you to pay with Nigerian card, because I'm aware Nigerian cards cannot pay dollar money. Nigerian banks have stopped all of that, but you can use Nigerian card to pay with Paystack. It's only 7,500 Naira a month. And then for those of us abroad, it's only $10. All right, I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that. And the link is on the clubhouse room at the top of the room. And I also believe it's also on the Gist House room. So that way, at least you can continue to be part of our club as we continue to unravel this thing with Prof and Lekan. All right, that's it, guys. Any questions? All right, go buy this thing, go subscribe. Everybody, it's only $10. Don't come and cry when I raise it to $100 and you're not saying, Nigeria, we don't have a lot of money. Can you give us this? I've given you now. It's only $10. You guys already know me. Once I move it, I've moved it. If you like hate me, say I'm cleaning out. Of course, I'm cleaning out. I will raise it to $200 if I want. Okay, but do it now so that way you don't have to complain. All right, let's keep going. Prof, are you there? Prof is still not there. Okay, so Lekan, now that they don't want to ask you a question, let me be the questionnaire by myself. But seriously though, how do you find time to be able to, because I happen to know you are also involved in several other startup projects, apart from also helping other startups. How do you find this time?
I mean, I enjoy it. That's probably the short answer, right? If you enjoy something, you make the time for it. My wife is also very generous. I also work from home, so my house is right over there. So
I love that you told me about that.
it works, you know, you're close to the house. So there are times where you can do things here and then, you know, multitask easily. But really, I enjoy it. So I make the time for it. And even like I try to make sure all the things I do, they intertwine, right? So generally they're not so independent of each other that they don't help each other out. That's really the short of it. Aside from like my day job, I try to separate those deliberately to make sure that, you know, that's work, this is play, but even my play is, they're all intertwined in some kind of way.
Interesting. So you've I don't know if you've had much experience dealing with Africans in your space, your tech space. What has been your most frustrating part of it, and what has been your most exhilarating part of your experience with them? I'm just curious. Now I'm interviewing you for something different, so I'm going to interview now. You know, I want to max you out. Right.
So in one of the rooms that I joined early this morning, or not that early, but we do a room on Mondays for Africa and MENA region startups. And I would say 3 observations. We have amazing founders from Africa that are starting all kinds of businesses. And I think, you know, the next decade to me is the African and Indian decade, right? What's about to happen to me in tech in Africa, in general, I just think there's a lot going on. So I'm excited from that perspective. I think we hear from a lot of founders that sometimes have not. So there's one frustration founders have, which is the capital. It's there, it's a real one, and will continue to be an issue because in Africa, you know, the funding here, it's already hard for people who are not, you know, this is what the slides I was showing. If you don't fit the 2, you know, white guys from Stanford, it's always hard. For women, for minorities, it's always hard. But in Africa, it's even harder because of the geography. A lot of investors don't understand that market. A lot of investors also don't, you know, even just based on like taxes and all the other reasons people put into investment, Africa becomes hard for them to really understand. There are some people on the ground now who travel back and forth who are really making it better. But I hear that frustration from founders all the time. My frustration back to founders is that I think more people should build home solutions for Africa, because not because I think it's easier or whatever, because I just think there's money there. I think too many people assume the money is better. Let me come build a US-based company. And it's hard for you to grow a startup in the US if you are in Africa. I think more people will succeed building solutions. And I think I just see a lot of founders immediately like, I want to come, I want to launch. I'm in Africa, but I want to get my customers in the US. And I understand it's challenging and all the other reasons. I think more people will build there. I also think a lot of Nigerians should probably look at other African countries. I have a brother in Cote d'Ivoire. There's a lot going on there. One of the folks that I'm in those rooms with every Monday, Evan Simmons, he's flying everywhere. He's in Nigeria, Togo, South Africa. He was just in East Africa. There's a couple of other people in East Africa. Anyway, all over East Africa, but there's a lot going on in other parts that I think sometimes we shouldn't just think the US is panacea, all and end all. I would say maybe the only other frustration is that I think founders, we all make the mistake, and I've done this, is that you think you try to scale too fast. You think it's about big vision, big money, and all these things, and you do what they call premature scaling. you show up, you're like, oh, I need $5 million to do this, to do that, and you haven't proven the first step. And it's much better to do bottoms up. 10 customers that love what you're doing, that have paid you and are raving lunatics for your product. If you show up to somebody with 10 customers and say, look, this is my testimonial, they love me for this thing, you will get so much further than premature scaling. You've barely built an MVP, you're already at like mile 2 talking about, well, we're going to change the world is fun, but it's not practical. Practical is 10 customers you've delivered value.
I see. Well, yes, you touched a very, very important point that I hope that everybody will get, that it is actually easier to get traction if you are building solutions for Africa now, because the market, in my own opinion, is crowded here, and you are at a natural disadvantage over there. And that is why I always tell my students that you don't really want to over-focus on the USP. Everybody talks about USP a lot, but you want to focus on the unique, what is that word I normally call it? I call it unique marketing positioning, UMP, your unique market. You don't have to do anything new, anything fresh. There's so many of them in the US. Just carry the one they are doing there, pick the Nigerian market, pick the African market, pick the West African market, and kill it. What do you say to that? What do you say?
Dr. In fact, if you look closely, most US startups are copying African things. It's crazy part. If you look at Uber, what is Uber? We've been doing Uber before Uber existed. Look at all these food delivery startups. We've been doing, most US startups that have grown in scale are copies of behaviors that we actually exhibited in Africa. Airbnb, what have people not been doing in Africa for years? Like you travel somewhere and you stay with somebody. Like, these are behaviors we've exhibited. We just never thought of them as big businesses. I think if we rethink these things as big businesses and you think about scaling them and using tech in a new way, we build homegrown solutions.
Interesting. All right, that's what I think. I think too many times, I did not say I was about asking a question relating to you, but go ahead and ask it. Right here. Okay, I see Sarah, Shara. I keep calling her Sarah when I first said. Shara, you come up on stage, Joe. We are waiting for you. There you go. That is my best behavior lady. She says that when she first saw me, that I sound very rude, so that she was watching whether can I learn from this guy. So because of her, I've decided to be a gentleman like a Lekan and be nice. Oh yeah, Shara, go ahead. You have to unmute. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Evening, everyone. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see you yet too. You can see Lekan now.
Okay.
Lekan cannot see you. Put on your video now. Let us see your face.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Now we can see you now. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Yes, sir. I really want to appreciate you, Dr. Okpe. Mr. Lekan, thank you so very, very much. When you spoke about autism, I could resonate with it because I have a child that is autistic as well. And the question I want to ask, sir, are you maybe in the future thinking of creating an app, a software, or anything to help an autistic child? Because like where I am now in Germany, if an autistic child does not come out of that behavioral pattern, because I don't even know how to place it, then what the government do is they group this child. They don't even give this child a chance to be somebody that is worthwhile in future. They just automatically group this child to a group of a child that cannot that cannot comprehend. And my baby is smart, just like what you have explained. She's very smart. Even when you talked about taking videos, it brought me to tears, because I've been in this world thinking, how can I help her? How can I help her? And then when you spoke about taking videos and studying the behavioral pattern, I didn't think of it like that. So I say a big thank you to you. Thank you so much. And Dr. Okpe, I'll forever be indebted.
My behavior is better now. Is my behavior better now?
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you, sir, because
No
I was
problem.
telling my child, I said,
Yeah.
for once, nobody introduced somebody that blessed my life. I've always been in the pattern of somebody saying, go see somebody. But I just clicked on your 360 business class, and it has been a total blessing for me, sir. And I say thank you. Thank you. Thank you from the depth of my heart. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
That made it all up for me. This is what it's all about, being able to help a fellow citizen. Like I promise you, I'm here for you. Anytime you need something, let me know. Because for me, if it's one person, it's worth it for me. And I'm glad that you also are connecting with Lekan. And feel free to follow Lekan and also chat with him. He's a great guy. You guys also have something in common. He might be the tech guy. Let him be looking for the solution. You just be following as he's doing the thing, so that you can just be copying and you guys can exchange ideas. And then there might also be other stuff he's already doing that is making the situation a little bit more bearable and easier for him. So you guys can connect that. Anything I can do to help, because for me, one of my best friends also in the university also had an autistic child, and I see how she's running up and down, but I can't help. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I can be of service. So if anything is coming out in that area and you guys need help, or you need people to come in to support the initiative, whether it's a foundation, whatever, please let me know. I'll be more than happy. Because the truth of the matter also is that some of those autistic children are the ones that is carrying this brain. They're just hiding it. You understand what I'm saying? They're the ones that breakthroughs is hiding inside them somehow. So if there's any way we can help them to be able to bring some of this stuff out. The whole of humanity, I've seen some of them do genius stuff. When they get in their game like this, they say that stuff they do. So I'm so glad that you didn't run away because I was very rude. And I'll try to be better. That's why I'm trying to be friends with Lekan, so that I can be a nice guy. Lekan is a nice guy.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All righty.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. Let me see here. I see, Dedotun, what is your question for Lekan? Dedotun, you said you are planning to use Yuba model in Nigeria healthcare industry. What does that mean? What is your question? Because Lekan can answer anything. Me, I'm just here to take notes. Oh yeah, now you either get on board or type your stuff. Thinking of the best way to approach, thinking of the best way to approach Yuba model for the healthcare industry. Why is that a complication? That to me is a very simple thing. I even think there's an app out there I can get for you. What area what do you mean? Basically, you are thinking of
transportation.
What? Yeah, maybe you want to answer. Yeah, I don't know what. Are you talking the transportation side, or are you talking about the service delivery side? That's why you need to come up and let me look for you so that you can ask your follow-up question. I did that, so let me see if I can find him. Okay, I see you. I did that. You want to come up and engage Lekan so that you can situate your question. And if there's anybody on Clubhouse or Gist House, yes, go ahead. Before you go on, Noel, if you can share what with us when data is done, I would love to hear from you. Noel is also one of the people that are really opening rooms on Clubhouse, trying to take people to the next level on different areas. I've come to admire him in the last a couple of weeks I've known him. So I would like Noel to share something with us. But go ahead, Adedosun.
I will say good evening, Dr. Okwe, and thank you very much for the journey so far, I would say.
Wow, wait, sorry to cut you. I just saw something about Prof right now. Did you see? There's genius in every child. Professor Imafidon's autistic father of this. I didn't even know Prof is autistic. Did you know that, Lekan?
I did not know.
Wow. Wow. But you know about the family, right? Did you know?
I remember.
That all the children are geniuses, all of them. The smartest family in UK or Europe, they were actually profiled a couple of years back. All the children, everybody, wow. Prof, come out, you cannot hide there. Come and share with us because conversation don't enter another level now. Let's talk that one. Oh yeah, I did that to Swift. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Like I said, thank you very much for the journey so far. For the I really appreciate your efforts, and thank you for bringing someone who is ready to receive questions from every one of us. I was trying to talk about the Uber model because while I was in Nigeria, I was actually trying to float something in that regard, such that we use the model because I am a physiotherapist by profession, and back home we do have where we have private engagement. You see stroke patients, you go and see stroke patients at home, do a lot of those form of manipulations, exercises and treatment generally. You see people that have fractures, you go and see them at home. Because I work with the government, so many people, many families will still contact us to come home and treat them. And sometimes we might need to go with nurse that will help us to do some basic things. And sometimes we rely with physicians that helps to review medications. So along that line, I was thinking that what if there's an app where people could just register that will link these professionals, that will have a form of database for physiotherapists, nurses, and all those providers that actually have a service to render in home, such that clients can register on it, and also facilities, hospitals also can also register. Because I can speak to you, right here in the UK, I still receive referrals from hospitals, clinic in Surulere that will say, oh, we have this patient, please, can you come and help us? So because I'm not there to offer the service, what I do, I send to some of my colleagues that are still back home to go and deliver the service, get the money. So I was thinking of floating an app that will serve as a database that will automatically connect service professionals with clients and hospitals without involving people bugging my phones with calls and the likes. So I was taking that line, and I wrote the business plan and all that, but I didn't push forward to it because I met a few guys who call themselves programmers back home. So I want to say that I experienced a bit of what, maybe a tiny fraction of what Dr. Ope explained that he encountered while developing Gist House. So I tried with some programmers, I paid them some money, blah, 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 blah. They could not come out with viable product for me. All my money wasted. So I decided that instead of, I was doing it manually, just like, because I'm known in that field. People contact me. I was working with the state hospital then. Clients contact me in Lagos, Ogun State. Instead of me going, sometimes I have about 20 patients I see alone. I go to their homes to treat them. Sometimes I have to give some of my colleagues those patients. So having this app that will do this work is what I set out to do. Unfortunately, all my money got wasted because of the programmers I hired that could not deliver on their promise, even despite being paid. So at the long run, I just have to shut everything down and say, well, let it be. When I have the time and I can do it in a better way that will not cost me my neck and my fortune. So that was why I was thinking of asking that question, that because I know that Dr. also passed through, he has explained some of your experiences, and I can relate with everything that you have said. Everything you have said, I can relate with it. But along the line, while you were teaching us about software development, you were talking about some of the ways using a open AI, open source codes and the likes. But because of the uniqueness of what I intend doing, I'm not sure, or I don't know if there is open source code for such thing, or maybe it's visible to explore those better ways that you mentioned in those in your teachings. So I said it would be wise for me to ask the blessed one that you have brought this evening to bless us. It might be able to help me to fine tune this journey. If at all, it will be something that I will need to revisit.
All right. Before Lekan will answer two things, I have to apologize. I didn't get that your first sentence explaining exactly what you wanted. I was so engrossed reading, I'm not going to lie, Professor Imafidon's story. I know him. I've been interacting with this man for at least 3 weeks now, right? You would think that by now I will have read everything about him. No, I'm not reading for the first time his story with the Queen and his own story with autism. And I didn't know all of that. I knew about his children. I knew about all the, and I think Shara and Lekan, this is a man you guys really want to have a behind the scenes talk with, okay? Because whatever he has may actually end up helping your children, even on a bigger scale. What I'm thinking now, Prof, I've been calling you, you are not answering. Hey, you cannot run, no. What I want us to do now, because I'm not reading about his children, I was surprised when he just said, my children are not geniuses and they are not the smartest in the world. Despite the fact that he had a child that read GCE, that sat for GCE at the age of 6 and scored double what his older sister scored at 9 or 7. So you have 4 kids, all of them scored straight A's in their GCE at a very young age. And then that's how he met the Queen. Because the Queen's daughter at 17 was struggling with passing GCE and said it was hard. Then the Queen read about his child, who was 6 years old, when he passed GCE. I said, who is that guy? And then they say the guy has voodoo, that his children are using. Then that's our Queen. I've not read that part before. It's so fascinating. That's what I've been reading. So basically what he's saying is that to prove that his children are not really geniuses, he asked for the worst children in the worst neighborhood schools. And he got one and was able to train that person to be able to start scoring A's. Meaning, this man is hiding genius. This is a cost we need to put out there. We need to have, so he said, whatever it is, thank God my own children are doing very good, but they can be genius too, I love, even though they are grown now. But there are a lot of young kids who will love, so I need to research this man better. He probably has the book somewhere because he's talking about systems. He's saying it's not about the thing being in the gene. And if he himself was autistic and was able somehow to overcome it to the point of doing what he's doing, I think it's what all of us, especially you, Shara, and Lekan, at least talking to him on that side, I'm going to be talking to him on how to make children who are struggling with school or exams to be better. So, Prof, you are not answering, but you know you can't run. You can run, but you can't hide. I'm looking, I'm going to hunt you down. Okay? I don't know where he is right now. All right, Lekan, please. Yeah,
sorry, when you're through, we'll probably, like you said, schedule another
no, I'm not scheduling interview.
But number one thing every parent should know is that
Yeah.
autism is a
Oh,
gift.
is that Prof? Is that
Yes.
Prof?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was Doctor. Okay, go ahead, sir.
No,
We get time.
no, yeah, number one,
Yeah.
every parent should know that autism is a gift, right? It's not a disease. If you get that clear, then you just know that time is the only factor. That means everything so-called, I'm talking of high functioning autism. I'm not talking of mild people on the spectrum. Because I've dealt with really, really high functioning autism, right? You mentioned something about AI, personalization. What the educational system doesn't have is that personalization, because they group 28 students together from 28 different parents, 28 different backgrounds, and expect them to go at the same pace. That is the definition of insanity in my dictionary. So if you think your son is diseased with autism, you will treat it as an illness. If you think it's a gift, you will celebrate it and identify their strength and play to their strength. And then you will see that their so-called area of weaknesses will rise like a rising tide. So I'll just give up this tip for you. Make sure you do music 15 minutes every day, starting with a toy instrument that they can ruin and destroy. Make sure you do that, right? Make sure they have siblings, older siblings, younger siblings, cousins, nieces, or nephew. Make sure they have a younger one that they care about, or if you can't have any more babies, get them a puppy, a pet that they can. If they don't have pet in the house, you're putting them in hell. So, but like I said, we are going to, sorry, because today is the wrong day for me to do anything, because today is the only day here where they do the Gata service. And if you see on television, you're going to see how it's covered. So I've been in and out of the room. I love to contribute, but I'm in and out of the room. But autism is such a blessing, is a joke. Don't use traditional methods. Don't believe one word any teacher tells you about your son or your daughter. Don't believe. If you do, you're finished. And please read the link I put in the chat box. Try and read it, and then we're going to have a session. All the parents that it doesn't matter wherever you are, whether you're in Africa, you're in Japan, you're in Chinese. If you're in China, because we've had Chinese students, Japanese students, and Japanese parents, is the same thing. It's the most misunderstood condition. It's a condition at worst, not a disease. So sorry, I've not been able to talk as I would love to, but like there'll be a day, there'll be a time where we devote to that. Apologies, Dr. Opie.
No, I didn't even know I was talking before. Oh yeah, we are going to have a one-day workshop on that will be taught by you. I don't mind hosting, because I have several friends who have autistic children. They all can learn from that workshop, and from there they can take it from there. So I will chat with you privately. We will get a day that is good, so that we can even have a formal a workshop on it and invite the parents to come and engage with you, because if somebody has dealt with something for years and knows the real secrets there, I think we have to celebrate that. That's one. Number two, I want that workshop on how any child can pass a GCL, something like that, where you are going to teach us some of these principles. It might not be a one-day thing, but at least they get a pointer. How about that, sir? Do you commit to those two? I need. Okay, you know, we must draw down on this thing, right? We have agreed on the autism one. This other one called about school. Prof has disappeared. Don't worry, I'll hunt him down. So we'll get it done. Lekan, me and you will talk to Prof and get the date for that. I have very high confidence that him and you and Shara talking about this, we might reach major breakthroughs, because you have the tech mind, he has the experience mind about dealing directly. By the time you listen to him, you might come up with something that can help every autistic child out there, and for us to celebrate them. So thank you so much. I'm glad that Shara came up also to talk about this today. Thank you guys so much. Okay, Lekan, if you still remember Dotun's question, you can answer it now. I wasn't listening much, but go ahead.
So I was. So it was around healthcare and providing services in a distributed fashion to people who are basically professionals. So doctors, nurses, other folks need to provide some sort of service to people in a distributed fashion, more in-home than at a facility. And the question was, he had had experience trying to build an app, but worked with some bad programmers, and he's thinking about taking another crack at the apple. So, I mean, this is a common story, Dr. where you've talked about that, having challenges in the past. To me, there's like 2 or 3 things here. One, I believe in what they call MVPs, right? Minimum viable product. So try to assume that the first product you build is going to be the wrong product, right? So whatever you put out there, don't waste all your money on the first one, because most likely that first product won't be perfect. So you need to reserve some money for multiple iterations of the product. In software, we're never done building. So, try to make sure not all your money goes into just one shot. That's the first thing. So how do you do that? To me, I leverage what they call no code. No code is that very good way to at least get that first MVP out the door so that you have more chances to learn. You put it in people's hands, you try it, and you keep iterating on the product with no code. Then when you feel like, okay, I have this thing and it's good, then you might go build a custom coded. You're describing, to me, there's like one caveat I should mention before we continue is that this is a medical application. So privacy, the safeguarding of people's medical information and their conditions, all these things are important and very sensitive information. So the one part of an MVP is you want to be very scrappy, you want to build it fast and all these things. This is the one side, because it's medical, that one has to be careful. But the majority of what you're describing here, I'm not even sure how we have to think about it as a serious medical application, in the sense that most of it seems to be in the area of communication, scheduling, and connecting people. Less so much, assume the medical pushed aside for a second, most of this is really around communication, coordination of certain types of services, and connecting the right person to each other. There's some payments in here, there are things like that. Effectively, you're building, I think maybe where you refer to Uber is, it's more of a marketplace where you're doing the connecting, but different service providers are connecting with, it's almost like there's a 3-party system here where there's maybe a hospital, there's a patient, and then a service provider, and you're kind of acting as the connecting tissue. To do that, you could probably build a no-code solution very quickly. You could build it as an app, or you could build it just as a website. I can think of multiple no-code solutions today that a rudimentary version of this without writing a line of code in 48 hours or under $500. So this is something that is doable. It is cost effective and fast. It fits all those criterias. So I would look to no code, get something going, and figure out how to test it with people to make sure it works. A lot of this, when as you were talking from a product perspective, okay, what would I do here? There's a lot of data around who are the players, right? If I think of 3 players, physician, or some kind of institution like a hospital, then the service providers and the patient. You need some software that connects them. You need some ability to describe what is needed. You need a list of all the different types of care. You need to be able to, tag kind of who has something to give as a service provider, who has something that is needed. The hospital or the third party, being the physician, might need to certify that. There's some credentialing or certification process needed here to make sure that the folks that are providing the service, you're checking for the authenticity of their ability to provide that service. So there's something there, but this thing feels very doable. I think you could break this thing down in a day or two and build a prototype fairly quickly.
Okay. All right, are you done?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Sorry,
All right,
okay. Yes. Doctor, can you just indulge me? My apologies again. I wasn't paying full attention on what you want this your app to do. What were you trying to do with? Can you summarize for me again? Maybe I can even add my own little input before.
Okay. So
okay.
basically, let's think of three things: patients, professionals, and facilities. Facilities in this case means hospitals, laboratory labs, and diagnostic centers. So basically what the function of the app would just be to connect patients or clients to either professionals or to hospitals, or to connect hospitals to professionals. Like some private hospital does not have some key professionals, say not up like in Nigeria as let's say 2010, there are less than 1,000 physiotherapists in the whole of Nigeria, for instance. Now, some private hospitals struggle to get physio, so they cannot employ because they cannot pay. So they could throw up job offers and professionals can get it. So basically it's 3 tiers: connect professionals to patients, or connect patients to professionals, or connect service providers, or facilities to patients or to professionals. So that's how the app intends to work. It's going to be a form of escrow service, whereby we're just serving as a kind of escrow. So basically, as he said, it's all about connecting and scheduling, then escrow services, which is the payment gateway. Basically that is what the app will entails, and that for me that is the MVP. However, there are other parts of the that could come in place, but for me that I would take that as the MVP because basically connect professionals to clients and connect clients to professionals.
Okay. So essentially, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you had done. Go ahead.
It entails scheduling, booking time. That okay, so time I've booked time with a professional. Professional is coming to my house so time, and deliver the service. When the service is delivered, then the professionals could get paid on the app. So we just having as serving like more like the escrow to everything.
Makes sense.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So what you are really talking about, you are correct when you say the Uber for healthcare services. So basically, there's the patient, there's the provider, and there's the facility that they work with. Basically, and then you are just like in the middle, like Uber owning the app, right? Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
That's the easiest problem now, Abba. But I'm very interested in this no coding. I've had Lekan keep saying it. I've had people saying it. That now I must know because this is my area. I don't know about that. What are the softwares that does this? Who are the people that do this? And how can you help Dotun before I give him my own ideas? Because that part I don't know. I want to know. That means a no code software means that I'm not going to be at the mercy of any developer. That means I myself will be able to know what to do there. Is that what you're saying?
Basically,
yeah, tell us.
So where we're going with AI is everybody will be able to write software, right? At some point, we'll all be able to write software by just speaking. But there's already, for the last 10 years, there's been a move towards what they call no code. Before you get to writing the application, when I talk about automation and no code, one piece of software I use a lot is something called Airtable. AIRTABLE, Airtable.
Airtable, okay.
So
Is it Airtable?
Airtable, yes.
.com or .io?
.com. So here, let me go into the chat. No matter what software you write, when you're writing software, there are three. You can use a model, a very known model we always talk about is MVC model, Model View Controller, right? If you think of any piece of software you're working with, there's a data model, which is how is your information set up behind the scenes? What is in your database, right? And if you think of a database, just think of it as a fancy version of a spreadsheet where you have rows and columns. One column is patient name. Another column might be hospital. Another column might be patient's issue that they have, location, right? That's in your spreadsheet. That's your data model. Then you have model, that's model. Then there's view, which is how does the software look? What's the interface? What do you press, right? When I press this, I want something to happen. And then control is just the simple rules that when I press this button that says submit, when I press that button, I want an email sent to all the potential physicians who could provide that service, right? So really when you're building software, a basic way to think about it is those three: model, view, control. What does my data look like? What does the interface look like? And when I press a button or when I interface with the thing, what logic, what do I want to happen, right? So if you take that as the backdrop of that's the base of building software. No code comes in by saying you can use things like automation or triggers where you can set up something that says, if this happens, do this. If I want this to happen, if someone does this, do this. And so all no code is doing is sitting above code, right? Think of back in the day, you might have been using a spreadsheet that was text. Now, most of us just point and click when we're using a spreadsheet. No code is basically point and click for code. So rather than sitting and writing complex syntax, which is all, when you see software and it's a bunch of text that looks colorful on a screen, that's just syntax. On top of it is simply what no code does is says, look, all I want to do is basically click some boxes, but I want to achieve the same thing, right? So I like to start with your data model, right? So the reason I mentioned Airtable is a very simple, looks like a spreadsheet, but it's actually a database. The only difference between a spreadsheet and a database, well, there are many differences, but a simplified version is think of a spreadsheet as 2D. You have X-axis and Y-axis, right? And you put information in columns and rows, right? A database is like having 3 or 4 of those things, but cross-referencing from one sheet to another sheet. The database is almost like a 3D version of a spreadsheet, right? So what Airtable does is it looks like a spreadsheet. So it's very simple and easy. All you do is you create a bunch of columns. This is what the information I need. Imagine creating one sheet. This is for the doctors. You create another sheet for the patients. You create a third sheet for the service providers, right? Then within each column, you put first name, last name, location, competency, where did they go to school, all this information for the physicians. Then you say for the facility, okay, what services do you provide? Blah, blah, blah. You put that in another column. Then you go to a third spreadsheet and you put it for patients. Then you ask yourself, okay, now what do I need from each one of them to match? Then you create a column of what are the matching things? Is it by service? Is it by cost? Is it by location? All these things. So you put them. So now you have something to cross-reference between the different spreadsheets, right? That's basically your database, right? That's your data model. So you're basically doing that inside of something like Airtable. Now, once you have that, Airtable now has what they call interfaces, where you can then go on top of that spreadsheet and start to build the way the app would look. You'd say, okay, I need a sheet that shows everyone's face, their first name, their last name, Just think of how you build an app. So now you start thinking of that. Then you ask yourself, okay, now if they click the button on, on X, what do I need that button to do? Then you start cross-referencing your data, and that's how you stitch it together. But you use no code to build those rules. But those rules are basically just logic. So all you would do is ask yourself, go back to what we talked about with automation and things like that. In some software you all use today, when you press a button, it will, when you like something on Facebook, on Instagram, when you press a button and say, I like something, what is it doing? It's behind that button press, it's doing something. It's adding to your sheet that says, what's the list of all the things you've liked, adds a thing to your table in your column of the spreadsheet. At the same time, it goes to the other person, the person whose thing you liked, and it puts a column in their spreadsheet. So imagine we were talking about 3 sheets. If I was liking a doctor's profile, it would go into the column in the doctor's profile that says like, and it would add a 1. Then it would go to your profile, add a 1. And then it would cross-reference the fact that you all have something in common now, right? So all these buttons are doing is just creating the logic or the rules behind what you want to happen. And so what we do with no code is essentially connect all of these things without writing code, but still achieving the same thing. And there's lots of software out there to do that. So something like this, for example, in this particular example, for this sort of medical one, just as you were speaking, I was literally building, how would I do this in my head, thinking about the data model, thinking about what the interface would look like and what the logic would be. As you were describing it, because I'm trained to do that now, I'm picturing as you were talking, I was literally building that in my head. And we can teach anybody to do this stuff. There's different levels of complexity depending on what you're trying to build, how complicated, and which tools. Some tools are easier, but the point is there's tools out there that we can train people to build these things themselves in a weekend.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much. This is this is interesting.
Wow. Dr. Akwe, you're muted.
Mm.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, that ability to teach people to do this no code MVP thing, I think Lekan, that is actually a course. Maybe I see the business. You guys always see the technical. That thing you just said right there, a training based on that, I could sell that all day long for $297 easy. Why? Because that is what people are looking for. Just now, instead of just talking about it, you're actually not doing it, explaining how it's done from scratch. You pick up an idea. That one, I want us to collaborate on it. Let's start from somewhere small. Let's do that training thing, because I have a lot of guys who are interested in going to this software business, even some developers who are still doing old school style. If we can teach them this no coding stuff, and we run it through a step-by-step course, module 1, module 2, module 3, you want to build a health app, this is how you start. This is what you do. You take them to this Airtable, you actually log in and take all that process. Right there at $497, I'm telling you, that's a cheap cost for those who are interested in that area. You're hearing the frustration of Dr. I've been there, right? I'm still frustrated as I am now, even with all my experience, right? Because I feel that I'm always at the mercy of these technical guys. But if there's a way I can at least get my MVP to work without doing coding, a lot of, it's like the way they are talking about Midjourney and graphic design now. If you can't design, go learn how to talk to Midjourney. You get your design. So me, I'm supremely interested in a full masterclass on this no coding course. That one, I want us to collaborate on it. You will do, we'll sit down together and I'll give you like the modules the way I would like to see it. And then you can help us deliver that course, and then we can then jointly market that together, okay? Because for me, it is a very big need out there. You may not appreciate how big, because you are in the industry. But there's so many young kids in Africa who really would do well having their own software, but they are all getting treated like Dotun and myself, because these guys are crazy, some of them, because they have these technical skills, they just stranded in the middle. I'm dealing with that as we speak, even with all my experience, to the point I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, listen, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I'm only going to do this. So I will follow up with you. Definitely, I think that is a winner course right there. Guys, if you believe that that's a winner course, give me a 10 now. For those of you who are here, if you think that's a great need in the market to actually teach people no coding software development, it will be, look at it. It's massive. I know that. It's massive, okay? To you, it may look simple because that's what you do. To us, it's not, right? So until you break it for us. So guys, I give you my word. You know what I promise I'm going to deliver? I'm going to get Lekan to actually come up with a full-blown course, A to Z, of how to build a software with no coding, at least up to the level that he feels is feasible. Even if it's MVP, I don't know, he will let me know. We will bring that out, a full course, then we'll test run it with a webinar. And then it will run it in a webinar like a summary of the thing, and then we will offer it for sale. That's how I do this stuff. So we do like maybe a 1 or 2 hour webinar where you actually explain, and then we have the course ready for them to buy. You know, so you might not need that small money, but if you are donating it to your foundation, it will help. All right. So that is coming. Lekan, I assure you, I'm going to keep on Lekan until we get it done over the next few weeks. But here is what I do, Lekan. This is where you can start. Okay, this no coding thing is best because it will give you exactly what you want, the way you want it, and then you can use that to go be chasing who you need to chase. But the next best thing is what you are talking about. Actually, that problem has been solved years ago in terms of you getting a little one that you can start with. The only challenge with those is that they may not have the capacity to last. They may not to take huge people, but the apps are there. They are called in-demand service apps. It's like saying if you want a Uber type of app today, you probably can get into one with $100 that will work exactly like Uber. Right now, today, that technology has been put out there. What you need is the one that has been done for the health professionals. And I'm telling you, they're out there. But of course, I don't want you to rely on that as your full software going forward, because I made that mistake before. Because many of them, they are like templates. They are really not fully done in a way that you can rely on it for a full-blown business. But at least you have something that you can say, okay, it's coming. Okay, so here is what I'm going to give you. Do some more work yourself to a couple of Code Canyon softwares. Right there, those two. What I expect you to do, you don't need to do it now, just copy it. And anybody who's interested in stuff like that, one of them you'll be able to download the what do they call it now? They call it APK of the app itself. It will actually work on your stuff. If you like it, if that's what you want, any of those two, your next thing should be to go to Code Canyon and have it. Don't buy like that because you are not a tech guy. You don't have a developer, you're going to die. Don't do that. You go and contact the guy who owned it. These are developers who don't know their own work. They don't really know how much this thing, what you can do with it. Then tell them to partner with you, that this is what you are looking for. You want them to partner with you to build the app out, and then give him a percentage, make him a partner, maybe even make him 50-50 partner if you want to have peace, and tell him, well, give him 30%, which is what I typically will offer. But the agreement will be he handles all the tech, you handle the business, and you handle the marketing. But because you are the one approaching him, for them on Code Canyon, 30% is a lot. Most of the JVZU guys offer them 20%, 10%, and they take it, particularly when they are able to assure them that if we launch this thing, we are going to sell about 1,000 units. The man is thinking in his head, he's only sold 100 after 1 year. And if you are telling him, you guarantee him 100 sales, or you will pay him the difference. Let's say he's selling, I want you to listen to this strategy because I've used it to teach several of my clients. Okay, this is called the developer rights strategy now. You go in there, typically before when I was a rookie, I would just go there, buy the stuff, and then start looking for developers to help me find it. Don't do that one. Talk to the guy directly. Tell him you are interested in his software, but you are not technical. So you are looking for a partner. You want him that you pay him the what they call the extended rights is what they call that. For these ones, they are still less than $200. Okay, less than $200. That you want to buy the extended rights, and that it should install it for you. Installation is also less than $100. You are still talking $300. The mines already will be happy to do that for you. It's part of what you get. But you not tell him I'm not technical. I'm looking for a partner to manage, to help me continue to maintain and develop this. And as this is his app that he developed, you would like to give him, you can start even with 10%. Trust me, it will take 10% because nobody's offered him anything like that. He already collected his money. That's what he's selling. He sells it for $200, collects his money and go. You are saying, I will pay you the money. Don't go and over-offer him because then you are setting yourself up because you got to do it professionally. He's selling for 200 and something bucks. Tell him you want to buy the extended license. You want to buy 1 year maintenance. By the way, 1 year maintenance is also less than $150, meaning that for 1 year, he will maintain it for you. It's right there on the contract. You are still under $400. But because if he just do maintenance for you, if the thing breaks or whatever, getting him sometime might get difficult, right? Because he's collected his money. It will come, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel a sense of ownership. And that's what you need. So that you can use his resume as a CTO. You can use his experience as part of the app. So you offer him 10% of the software ownership in addition to the 1 year maintenance you are paying for. 90% of the time, he will jump at it because he's not losing anything. Remember, the extended maintenance that he gave you, you already paid for it, meaning that it's obligated to you for the next 1 year to maintain that software for you. But you are now sweetening the deal, and say, in addition to that, because you really want him to be committed to you, that anytime there's a problem, he's going to come and take care of it, you're giving him 10%. He will buy it. Now, if you start, after he installs it for you, we install it on your own domain for you, put whatever name you want. If there's any features you want to add to it, negotiate with him. They are very, very cheap, those guys. And some of them are incredibly talented, but because they are from Russia or they are from, so it's like Nigeria in terms of what the money is worth. So when they get $500, it's like a lot of money to some of them. But if he's a good guy, up the ante, don't be greedy. Increase it to like 30% for him. If he has a team, tell him that if he has a team, 3-4 people, you want them to be dedicated to this, and that you are going to give them 20 or 30%. Now you cover, and then of course, make sure you draft a contract to be sure that they are fully engaged in this, what they need to do, monthly maintenance, this, that, and that, make sure it's all covered. That way you are not paying for developers, which is your number one cost. It's my number one cost in Gist House, because I went out of my own model. It will kill you, it will ruin you. Don't go there. Sign that contract with him. Then you can then do the business side, because your app is working now. You have somebody who will handle the tech problem. Your own is not to go look for the money, look for the investor, look for marketing. So that's what I would suggest to you while we are now getting this, because this no coding thing is a game changer. That means some software that is in my head now, I can then decide that's what I want. I don't need to go be buying any rubbish stuff. I can then do my own. That's why that is very important. But you are new. Go that route first. Let me know if you need any of those two. Any of those two meet what you are thinking in your head. I don't know. If it is not, maybe I'll give you another 15 minutes. Me and you will go online together. I'll take you to some of the open source sites and some of the white label sites to see if we can find you the one that you are looking for, because that in-demand services, that has been done. Trust me, it's been done. I have the one for carpenter. I have the one for handyman. All right. There was a time I bought all 6 or 7 of them. I just decided I wasn't going to go in that direction anymore. Kabu Kabu is my own. If you see the Kabu Kabu app, it's still on App Store, it's exactly like Uber. It was working, everything done well. Then I realized, and I'm going to end with this for you. Getting the app is not your problem if you are talking that. Your problem is, do you have the money and the resources to give it adoption? If somebody at my level right now, I'm thinking of shuttering Gist House because it's draining me every month. I would get a lot of a negative backlash, but it is not the backlash that I worry about. If I'm spending like close to 20K every month and I don't see the way out, they're not paying me for the app. I don't know how I got myself into that. It's a free app. It's a big boy play. Millions of dollars play. Clubhouse has not made a dollar yet. They have $110 million. I don't know what I was thinking that I went to put head with them. See what you understand what I'm saying? So that part of it is the problem, getting the adoption, because these type of apps, there are plenty out there now. To be honest with you, they're there. Getting your own, you probably will get in for less than $1,000, I can assure you. But can you keep it? What is the cost of acquisition to get 1,000 doctors to be on there, to get people to use the services? That is a real problem. And I don't know your pocket. When we talk privately, if I want to know the kind of money you're ready to put on this, if you don't have it, I'm going to say leave it, because you have it, but it's not going to go anywhere. The Lekan can bear me out on this thing. You will get it. It will work well. It will be what you need. The whole thing will cost you, let's even say conservatively, you put your money, maybe 3K. But that is not your problem. Your problem is people using that app and paying you money. It's not pepper soup. Don't let anybody deceive you. I have Kabu. Kabu is still on the app stores. By myself, I walk the way. By myself, okay? Because if you don't have 100 million to drop first, they are not even sure. I'm talking 100 million naira. Even in American money, it's not small money, okay? To drop, to drive it for that first 6 months to see if you're going to make it. Then you're wasting time. I would rather go for something. That's why you see me doing now. My first foray into AI is I've now multi-mawara now. I'm not following all this Gist House, Clubhouse business. Funnel builder, that people will pay you from day one, $497 to use your app, $197. You collect your money. There's nothing to be talking about. So if it is only 10 clients you have, you know at least you are breaking even. Like just time. We are not Oyibo, Mr. Data, so don't put head where your head cannot enter. Oyibo people, they can have access to all this money. They don't care, 2 years, 3 years, they don't need to make profit. You need to make money 3rd month. Me, funnel builder, I'm expecting whatever is costing me to put it all together now, maybe like 10K, right? I expect to make ×4 of that next month when I launch it. And like Lekan said, you don't have to be, your offering or your software does not have to be generational. It could be like a 2-year thing that you want to do, make your money, and then grow from there. That is a beautiful gem you just shared. I don't know how many of you got that. Don't feel that you have to be in this thing on the big end of it. Even what you are doing now, you yourself may know, may not last more than 2 years to become outdated, but it is a business. There are levels to levels. There are some levels that take million. There are some levels that if you can walk away with 200K in the next 1 year, you are okay. Even if he becomes moribund, you take another one. And I think it made perfect sense, okay? So don't be like me. Don't go put head inside water that you can't come out to. Me now, the day I'm going to have to buy that bullet, I have to be ready for dragging on Clubhouse. I have to be ready for people to call me scammer. I have to be ready for all sorts of things. But I will have to do it if I don't want to keep burning 20K every month, because I don't see the roadmap that I'm going to get $5 million investment next month. I don't see it in that industry. I was very optimistic 2 years ago when Clubhouse came out and it was valued at $4 billion. Clubhouse can't get 500 million today. Who bought them monkey? They will not get it. Look, am I lying? Because the industry is flatlining, so to speak. Okay, and the technology to get into the audio app business is now much easier. So you want to go into something you can collect your money. Data to help you here, and I'm saying this to everybody. Not because I'm good at teaching you how to get into the software business. Anybody interested in that, and you get my Launchify 360 and even one coaching less than 10K, you come to my coaching team, I'll get you the software. I'll get you to make money in it. But I'll be showing you the one where you will not ruin yourself. Even if it's only 10K, 20K you are collecting, be okay. And then as you grow, you can then get more ambitious and say, okay, I want to go. It's like saying you want to have a Twitter app, an app that works like Twitter. I can get it working for you, running. I would say 7 days. So 7 days is too much. 5 days, and you will not spend $2,000. You will not even spend $1,000. Seriously. But does it mean you're going to compete with Elon Musk? You're a joker. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to be sweating blood because nobody is paying you for Twitter. It's a different ball game entirely. I hope I've been able to speak some wisdom into you. Don't rush. Stick with me. Be very, very deliberate. There's so many other things you can do. Lekan just shared a lot of them with that will not put you inside trouble. That you can take your own little one. My own software, I'm being very frank. This phonematic thing, what did I do? I went to look for white label. My customers don't care. By the time I start rolling now, they don't know what the hell this thing was. I will make more money than the guy who owned the original. Guaranteed, I know that. I've checked him out. I've seen the way he's selling. If I go to JVZoo and I do my case well, I could pull up 200K in 5 days. And I'm running my software, JJ. I'm not, Ashebe is working. There's nothing like pride Nami Koda. That is what Nigerian team. Is it working? Is it doing the work? And it's under my own brand. Then let's go. There's a way you will rock the original guy with his own brand. When people see it, they will say it's fake. No, I'm not kidding. By the way, Lekan, that's how Mobimatic was. Mobimatic was open source. We launched it, and we were charging $297 for annual access and $47 for monthly. The day we launched it, somebody else launched his own and was giving it away for free. He bought it from the same place where we got the Mobimatic code. But because he had another software I was launching, so he was giving the Mobimatic away as a bonus because he just downloaded the code now, and then he was giving it away for free in the same JVZoo. So some of the guys who had bought Mobimatic, they are the one that came to tell me, can you imagine that there's this other guy who was giving a software that is similar to this for free, that it must be fake. They are the one telling me it must be fake, not me. And I wasn't going to dissuade them now. I'm like, I don't know these people. Anybody can do whatever they want. It's the marketing. Because our marketing was so overwhelming that there's no way anybody can tell them that same software somebody got it for free. Right? So if you're going to go into this software business now, because I'm passionate about this, why I keep repeating, this is my niche, don't go for the hard route yet. You are not Lekan, and you are not even me. And I'm not anywhere near Lekan. You are just a guy who wants to make money from software. So your first choice should be white label, because it's about the marketing at that point. You give it your own name, you give it your own color, you give it your own brand. Only you and the person you white label from, and a few who are in that circle we know. But the majority out there don't care. They don't know. They don't care. As long as it's working. It's like buying a Volkswagen B2. You go to their mall, you buy your own. The other guy buys his own. You have your own taxi service. You put your own color on it. The other guy puts his own color. You guys start marketing. God help the one who can market best. That's what I recommend for rookies. Because with white label, you don't have to be the one maintaining it. You don't have to have developers. You don't have to have any of that crap. All you need now is marketers. Are you seeing the difference now? You are now selling that brand. And then as you are going, you are not building your own original. I'm building my own original. I have 4 developers working on it, but they told me it will take me 4 months. I'm saying all these weary people. 4 months will be 8 months. But let them be doing. But in the meantime, for Pneumatic, I'll be selling that. When my own is ready with all those nifty features that I have, all I'm going to tell my customers is that we are doing a massive update. Then I switch. Game over. All right, Lekan, sorry I took a while on that because I get passionate on this software business. Right? I turn it back to you if you have more comments on these guys. I hope you learn. They notice you are not doing it.
Wow. Thank you
You need
very
to sign
much,
up
sir.
for one-on-one coaching. It's $10,000 only. You need to sign up for that one. Instead
This
of going
is
to go throw your money away to all those
everything he
boys.
said is priceless. Maybe I would have sold maybe my houses. I put them.
You'll be sweaty. You'll be sweaty by the time those developers come for you. I don't. Oh God. Anyway,
I
guys.
remember that I put some guys in an hotel. I launched them. I was feeding them. They were looking fresh. They were looking fresh. I was looking.
And you are losing weight. You are losing weight.
Each time I come, I say, how far with this update? Say, one of the guys would say, but boss, don't worry, I go run now. I go run now.
But that's not even your problem yet. When they finally finish, now it's how to turn it to money. By the time the server fees come, we have I think a little over 40,000 G-stars now. By the time AWS send you bill at the end of every month, well, you are sweating blood. You don't know where money is coming from. Wrong model. All right, but we all learn and we all grow. All right. Okay, guys, any other question?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
We took a lot of time on that because it's my passion and also it's what Lekan does. So, guys, if there is any other question, we're not just about software stuff. If you have any other question, if not, Noel, your turn. Noel. Okay, go ahead, Noel.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Dr. P, that is phenomenal and awesome. A little bit about me, right? I'm a mechanical engineer, right? My cornerstone, the cornerstone that has really shaped and impacted everything that I do, is I went from graduating from high school in New York City. On my birthday, on my 19th birthday, I became homeless, right? And I started sleeping on trains, sleeping on buses for a couple months. Eventually, I got my first job after homelessness for $7 an hour. Worked pretty much 24/7, not because I wanted to make money, but because I wanted to escape the elements, right? And I used my first paycheck to get a really nice, to clean myself up. And I got a retail job. They told me I was going to make $12 an hour, $8 an hour plus commission, but I shouldn't worry because the person that makes the most makes up to $13 an hour. Within a month, just applying my Nigerian work ethic, okay, that I learned from my family, I ended up making $33 an hour, okay, with that sales job. And I leveraged that role to, get a place, get back into school. And within 6 years, I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree from Case Western Reserve University with my first role 6 months prior to graduation at my first engineering job lockdown. So from then onwards, it's been a very beautiful career in automotive. But I'm here today to expand on that, right? And teach you more specifically, expose you to what I'm learning, right? So I'm kind of learning from all these spaces too, but I don't want to just learn from myself and hoard all the knowledge that I'm gaining to myself, right? I want to share, impactful knowledge with everyone so that you can learn and develop too on this road, right? On this journey. Everyone has their own journey, but we can also definitely support each other. One thing I've learned in the past 24 hours is a LinkedIn marketing strategy, okay? So most people don't know, most people, their pain point is, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs, side hustlers and people that do, I'm missing a group, passive income, right? Have passive income strategies, right? One thing that's great, right, is, beyond your skill set, it doesn't even matter. Like I was in a Nigerian room the other day and they were like, we don't need side hustles now, we make money. Okay, we have jobs here. You know what I mean? That's Nigerian mentality. I don't understand. I was like, So I told them, okay, you work for somebody today, you're an engineer, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, okay? That guy tomorrow, okay, can tell you you're not going to feed yourself, okay? If you have one source of income, that guy can decide whether or not you feed yourself tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
He can decide whether or not you pay your rent.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want that for yourself? Why would you want anybody, okay, to have that control over your life, over your livelihood, over your peace, okay? And that's what, from my first engineering job, okay, I realized that, I have to create freedom for myself. And that freedom comes from channels. Think of it as irrigation channels, okay, of revenue streams, okay? And one of those one of the first things I did was I taught myself how to trade options. Okay. And now I'm going into different side hustles, and I'm accumulating those side hustles, looking at leveraging them at scale, right? With virtual assistants. And then beyond that, my next phase in my plan will be to go into real estate. Okay. But I definitely want to make sure that I have not just the principal, but also things like properties to leverage. Okay, not properties, I mean like land. Okay, to leverage. So one of the things I'm going to talk about today is lead generation, right? So for some of you who are going into, whether you're a virtual assistant, whether you have an e-commerce brand, whether you have a white label software, right? You're going to be looking at generating leads. Okay, so how do you generate leads that are not just cold leads? Going door to, you can go door to door, and maybe the person you knock on their door, they're not even interested in any software. That's not their pain points. Okay, that's not their interest, right? How do you generate leads, right, in an efficient, cost-effective manner? Okay, that doesn't involve you spending so much money or trying to access leads that may not be quality leads for you. Here's one strategy that I found to be effective, right? There's it's a Chrome extension, right? A lot of Chrome extensions, they've really improved. Okay, I gotta say, some of them, they're almost as effective as AI tools, I swear. Octopus CRM, believe it or not, is a CRM.
Octopus CRM.
Yes.
Okay.
Octopus CRM. Okay.
What does it do?
Octopus.
What does
Octopus
it do?
CRM. So what it does, right, is you go into your LinkedIn messages, and you can actually create LinkedIn message ads, right? So when you go into your connections on LinkedIn, right, some of you are looking for leads. Okay, you can actually scrape your leads from your LinkedIn connections.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, you can scrape your leads from your LinkedIn connections. So for me, I have some of you might have you're looking for leads, but you have like a couple hundred connections on your LinkedIn. You go to My Networks on your LinkedIn page, right? I'm actually going to go to it now so that I can follow you through it and replicate your experience, right? So you go to My Connections on LinkedIn, this page. So I'm on LinkedIn now. My Networks, sorry.
My networks on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yep. You go to My Networks, and then you go to Connections.
Okay.
Okay. And then on Connections, you'll see all of these names and titles.
Okay.
Okay. So what Octopus CRM can do, this is one step, right? Is it can scrape all of these names along with the titles and the companies that they work for, right? And put this into a Google spreadsheet. I think it's a Google sheet or some Excel spreadsheet, but it'll put it into a spreadsheet for you, okay? In addition to that, you go further, go and look for a competitor. Let's say you have a white label version of Clubhouse. Okay, Clubhouse is probably not a good example, really, because just as I agree with Dr. Ope completely, it's saturated the market, and that's why you see Clubhouse laying off 50% of their employees, because we know where where things are going to end up, unfortunately. But let's say you have something like white label software for something similar to Go High Level. Okay. You go in, right, and look at either someone that's a sales engineer, sales manager, right, for go high level, maybe someone in sales or marketing. Okay. And then you go into their page, go into your competitor's website, and then you look at their connections. Okay. Octopus CRM will scrape those connections from the site. Okay. When you put it in a web sheet, you use it in conjunction with something called hunter.io.
Hunter as in H-U-N-T-R?
Yes, Hunter as in H-U-N-T-E-R.
Okay, go on.
.io. Yeah.
Okay.
And so what you're going to do is you're going to use hunter.io to get the email addresses for all of those names and profiles that you scraped from your connections using hunter.io. And boom, you've collected the leads.
Okay.
You have a list of high quality leads.
Interesting. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I hope you guys are taking notes of this. I think it's a great thing. But the only challenge I have with this, funny enough, I'm a LinkedIn guy. I keep telling myself I have to go do this LinkedIn thing. I think my connections there now, last time I checked, probably over 5,000 or 6,000 connections. But I don't even know how I got those because I don't even use LinkedIn. I don't go there. I don't know how they got there. It's like, I guess some of my social media stuff was connected. So it's like sometimes when I post, something goes there is what I suspect. But I'm not a LinkedIn guy. I know that. But let's leave. My challenge here, tell me how that works. Because if we are able to scrape that, that really doesn't solve the problem of what a lead is, in my personal opinion, as a marketer. Remember this, I'm a big time affiliate marketer and all that. In the sense that the problem is never the list. The problem is the authority in the list. Because if you scrape these people, but from what you said, if they are my followers, then maybe they already know me or maybe we're already connected. Because if I scrape a list and I send message to them, it doesn't mean anything if they don't know me. If I get a list of Lekan and I send Lekan a mail, I'm just another spam to him if he doesn't know me. It's different if Lekan sees my name on his email now, or he knows of Banwo, he might open it, he will read it. The question would then be, do I want to buy this or do I not want to buy this? But it will not be like, I don't know this guy, right? As opposed to him just getting a mail from a guy that he has no connection with. So how do you go over that?
Yeah. So there are two things there. So it's also where you're scraping the list from. So I wouldn't just go on like any person's email list, right?
Okay.
And just scrape their connections, right?
Okay.
Just to get a lot of people, right? I would first start with your own connections, right? Because these people that are connected with you, right? Most of them are connected with you for a reason. For me, most of my connections are recruiters, right? They're job recruiters that have recruited me for engineering roles. Maybe I've interviewed for engineering roles. Either some of them I actually got them, some of them I didn't, but they, liked my, we built a relationship through the process, and they decided to stay connected, right? That's the bulk of my connections, right? So we all already have a premise where they've had an experience with me to understand that I am a real person and I've demonstrated excellence in some way, right? Now with the going to the competitor, right? And you, at this point, you want to consider your competitive landscape, right? So you should have conducted a comprehensive marketing analysis, including your competitive landscape, to understand who your direct competitors are, right? It's not just, for example, if your brand is Apple, right, and you're selling an iPhone, you're not going to go to Motorola or Metro PCS and say, oh, that's my competitor. No, your competitor is something like Samsung, right? It might be the Google phone Pixels, right, because of the camera. right? So you want to consider who your direct competitors are, right? And now those leads, right? The way you frame when you go after those leads, right, for your direct competitors, right, they are already in the market for your product. They could have chosen that specific customer because they do not have any other customer, or maybe they went to that customer because that customer addressed they went to that brand because that brand addressed a pain point from a previous brand. Okay, you can mimic the same strategy. You go to that brand, let's say you're Apple, okay, and someone is buying Samsung phones because Samsung phones are maybe they're cheaper, okay, right? Now you go into that space and you offer a very specific value proposition that addresses a pain point that Samsung buyers are experiencing. Maybe it's cheaper, but the camera keeps failing. Okay, you're looking on the Google reviews and you're seeing that all of the 1-star ratings and the 2-star ratings are people complaining about the camera. Camera keeps failing. Okay, you say, hey, you put an effective LinkedIn message ad. You can use some AI tools to support you with that, or go directly through ChatGPT. You say, hey, create a LinkedIn message ad that targets XYZ clients, a very specific client target, okay, from the Samsung market, okay, that addresses this specific pain point, okay, and provide a very specific value proposition, okay, to gauge a conversation. Right, I even had it written up yesterday. Let me pull it up. It's in my Zettelkasten. Actually, the way I would frame it,
Okay.
because I did see a video. Let me pull it up here. Job search, optimization, strategy. Okay, so I know where to find it very quickly instead of going this way. So on my Zettelkasten. Okay, so control find now. Okay. Target. Okay. Yes. So you want to yes. So you want to So I got it right the first time. So you want to ask ChatGPT to create a specific LinkedIn message ad. So this is specifically for LinkedIn messages. Okay, that targets XYZ audience. So a specific target audience. Okay, you can even include the product name that addresses this specific pain points. Okay, and provide the specific value proposition that this message must have, okay, to connect with this audience. Because a lot of your marketing, from what I'm learning, right, and this is where an area that I'm still learning, seems to be a value proposition and generating that consistent relationship with the clients. The quality of the connection reflects, I think, the perception of quality for the product. And from what I'm understanding, it's and I'm using a little bit of quality engineering here, right? Because in our world in automotive, it's not just about having a good part. It's also collaborating with marketing as well. The way I collaborate with marketing is to understand the best way to reflect the quality of the part. So something may be a quality part, but it may not look nice, for instance. An ugly car doesn't look like a quality car. There are a lot of ugly cars, EV cars out there, but when you see a Tesla, you're like, ooh, it looks really nice. you know, some of the ugly cars might even be higher quality, have higher crash test ratings. Okay. But because of the way the Tesla looks, okay, the perception is that it's of higher quality than all the other EVs out there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing here. That's my perspective, I guess.
No, that's fine. I mean, I hope you guys got some stuff from there. I think I'm not an expert on LinkedIn, so anything I learned, I go and check it out. I think it's a great idea. I mentioned two great sites. I'm checking out the Octopus CRM now. Actually, it is connected to a LinkedIn, like you said. Guys, you should check it out, the extension, and then hunter.io. And I think that's if you can scrape the leads that followed you or your connections on LinkedIn, obviously that has to be a good thing. You now have to figure out how to put that in your autoresponder in a way where you can then mass mail them. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Because if you still have to do it manually, one-on-one, that makes no sense to scrap it. They're already your connection, so you can might as well chat with them on LinkedIn. But obviously what you're saying that you scrap that list and then you put that list in an autoresponder and then use it to send personalized messages to them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, and you can use hunter.io to get the email addresses for those connections. So you're not limited to, you know, I like to take things off the social media platform, only because you never know what will happen tomorrow. Your LinkedIn can be down, you know, God forbid you can get banned from LinkedIn.
Okay.
You know, you don't want to lose your clients and just use LinkedIn as a CRM. So having a CRM, right, that you can transition and actually move, if you want to move it to Substack, you can move it to Substack and then create, have like 1,000 subscribers the second you set up your Substack. If you want to move it to an email,
don't go so fast. I want to get this. So you're saying that you can scrap the connections on LinkedIn with Octopus CRM, and then you take that scrap, you take it using hunter.io to take it to Substack. Is that what I'm hearing here?
You use hunter.io to get the emails, the exact email addresses of those people.
What do you get on Octopus CRM?
The CRM is giving you the names and the companies that they work for.
Oh, it doesn't give you the phone number or the email?
It may, to my understanding, it does not give you the email address. No.
Okay. So hunter.io is the one that gets you that.
The email, exactly.
Okay.
You know, and if you're going to someone else's connections, right, those people are not connected with you, right? If you're going to your competitors' connections, they may not be connected with you. You can still repeat the same process, scrape with Octopus CRM, and then use hunter.io to get the email addresses. And Octopus CRM is free. Hunter.io, I think they give you 25 a day. They're always changing their free model. So at one time it was 25 a day. And then another time they gave you like 25 and then you had to subscribe. But what I do, okay, with all these AI tools, I'm just going to be very frank and genuine with you guys, okay? Because I like to save money, you know. I was raised
all of us, even Lekan likes to save money, even though he has too much.
Yeah. You know, I don't like
right, Lekan, don't you like to save money?
Yeah, I don't like spending money at all. I don't like spending money at all. I'm extremely thrifty.
We marketers don't like to spend money either, don't worry. It's not just you.
Yes. Yeah, so what I do is, if anyone is offering a free trial, I will take advantage of that free trial. I'll create an account. When that free trial expires, I will cancel. I'll create another account.
That's a lot of work now. Abba, Oga. That's a lot of work now. No, that one is not, to me, that is not necessarily working smart, because you are going to keep losing your historical data. But anyway, I guess a lot of us do that. A lot of people do that. I don't do that anymore. Once I pick, if I'm going to keep using that thing, I'll pay them their money. I think it's only fair. It's karma. If I want people to pay me for my own software, I don't want to be giving. I understand canceling if I'm not getting value. But if I'm going to be using it, I'm not going to cancel and go create another one. I think all of us will also bear that, because I hear you, my brother, because we are a lot of, not you, but a lot of our brothers and sisters in Africa, they simply can't afford this stuff. It's expensive for them. that, then those ones doing it, I'm fine. But those of us who can, unless of course the cost of it is way beyond what we can afford, which I don't think, Pakata will be 200, 300 things. My own theory is very simple. If I'm going to be using it, I will keep it after the free trial. If I'm not getting value, then I will cancel it, but I'm not going to go create another new one. Why? Because whatever you will do is what's going to happen to us. So if I sell software, I don't want people doing that to my own software, okay? So if I'm doing it to others, that is what God will make them do to me. But that's just me talking. But talking about leads, because we explain this and I know that I have to preface that I don't know anything about LinkedIn. I really have not faced LinkedIn to say I want to do any business there. Everybody keeps telling me it's the best place for clients. I don't know. Yeah. Because and the reason why is I didn't feel the need to do that. Okay. A better way. I like this one you've said, and I'm going to try it. I try everything one time. I want to see the quality of it. One, I look at LinkedIn. Are they really my customers on some of the stuff that I'm doing? Maybe, maybe not. I was used to my Facebook, and I don't even do Instagram. Even if you look at my Instagram now, you'll probably say maybe I have 20,000 followers. I don't know how they got there. It's Facebook, me, I do. That's the one I know. I've been working. So, and I'm like that. Learning new areas, sometimes I find it challenging when I'm already having success somewhere. But if I were to do LinkedIn, I'm not going to go through all these long things that people are doing. I'm just telling you straight up. Let me tell you the hack I will use because it doesn't fail. The best type of leads are the leads that come to you, are the leads that have seen you. Do you think anybody that came through this training today, let me ask you, will you think they are good leads for Lekan or myself? Yes or no?
That's okay. Are you there? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I was asking a question. All the people that came in to this training today, that Lekan did, that I did, and with Prof, all of us that spoke, even including you speaking now, will you think the people on this call are a good lead for me or Lekan especially, because we are the two primary teachers today? Will that be a yes or no?
That would be absolutely, yeah, because they've seen you demonstrate.
Exactly. So when I'm teaching marketing to my team, because we're going to get there now, because that's what I know. That's nobody makes any money unless something is sold, and you don't sell unless you have lead. So lead is number one in everything. So for me, the number one lead generator is not all these complicated things everybody is saying. Organize a webinar. Finish.
Yeah.
If I want to get all those leads on LinkedIn, all these people are talking, it's not complicated. I will do a 5-day discount bootcamp that I'm doing for a topic that I think will interest them. And I'll do a live one right there on LinkedIn. Everybody that makes the mistake of coming there, they become great leads for me because they will be exposed to my ability in my area that I say I'm operating in. So me, and then for them, in that presentation, I'll give them opportunity to go sign up for my mailing list, either by giving them something they're going to download with their information to get into my mailing list by themselves, by their own free will, or I will get something, how will I put it? Get them to get into something like WhatsApp. By myself, I deleted 370 people on WhatsApp business group on WhatsApp. Those are very strong leads. But I've just decided I don't want to go that route anymore. I don't want to do so many, and I deleted 337 people. That is typically will cost an average person who doesn't know how to generate leads, maybe at the minimum, if it's in the US, we say maybe about $5 per lead that I just deleted, or even call it $1. That's over $370 just turn away. So leads are the easiest to get if you're ready to do the work, is what I'm saying, which is for me to go scrap LinkedIn and sending them message, even though we've never had a conversation before. If I were to do a webinar or a live video on my LinkedIn on the topic that I'm trying to sell something on, let's say I were to do my, I had to create your own software without doing any coding. If I want clients from LinkedIn, I'll just do a 1-hour training there. knowing that anybody who ever came across that, they'll say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking. And if they're looking for a coach or somebody in that area, they will gladly come to me. So that you try that and you see, I think you are going to get more ROI, because that one, doing a free training doesn't cost you anything but time, right? All of us are here. If we're not doing this training right now, me and Lekan probably are going to be in one room on Clubhouse. We're always there anyway. While we are working, we have the thing on and we are doing our work. I suspect that's how Lekan does it. He has it on like a radio, but he's doing his work, right? So it costs me nothing. So doing this now, it's almost as if I'm just on Clubhouse, but everybody here, if Lekan were to ever sell anything that they can afford, that is in their niche, it will not be an issue, whether Lekan has the authority or whether Lekan can give them value. Same way with me. I've never, so I don't bother so much about the those acts. They work, but the best act I learned from Mike Fulsem is, number one is webinar. Because in webinar, they get opportunity to be exposed to you. It doesn't have to be long like my own, 1 hour, most of them. My own just takes too long, but 1 hour webinar is enough. Then you run your adverts. So that way you turn cold leads into warm leads. If you do a webinar, let's say we are doing this webinar that Lekan is about to put together for us, this one, no code software development. That's the kind of webinar I will run. I'll put maybe $500, $1,000 in running adverts. In addition to my own hot list, that all these people that we have here. So when you run an advert, a paid advert for a free webinar, and you spend $1,000, you probably will get about 2,000 very good leads. Now in that 2,000 or more, maybe 300 will show. Those 300 I showed, they are showing because they like the idea of what you are teaching, right? They are coming to learn more about that topic, which is no code software development. These are not just random guys. Those who are not interested in coding, they are not going to register for the webinar. That's the key there. So it's those who are interested in that kind of thing that will register. So those 300 or 400 that show up, the only thing that will stop them from not buying over time from you is they don't have the money. It's not going to be whether they don't trust you. It's not going to be whether they don't think you don't know what you are doing, which is, those are the mental thing every buyer goes through. Can I trust this guy? Is he a scammer? Does this guy even know what he's talking about? Can his product help me? Webinar solve those three problems for you right there. Then it comes down to the money. Are you overcharging? Are you undercharging? Can they afford your money? Can they not afford your money? That will then become the only decision. But I appreciate the LinkedIn thing. I'm going to check it. Auntie Yvonne is always talking about this LinkedIn. Maybe I'll face it. I just give it like 2 weeks like that. I said, okay, today we die here. Let me see what's going on with this LinkedIn. I don't know. Lekan, what is your experience with LinkedIn from what Noel just shared? You like LinkedIn?
I like LinkedIn. I've not used it a ton. To me, the opportunity on LinkedIn is exactly what you said. I think I like what Noel is saying in terms of structure, but I do agree with you in terms of seminars or webinars, because I think LinkedIn, once they added video, I noticed once LinkedIn added video, I just feel like it's underutilized by most people. And I think it's waiting to be leveraged more. And the context is better on LinkedIn. So, you know, anybody in a professional setting that sees credentials then immediately goes to hear you speak of something of value. I think it's not a far connection to go, ooh, I see their resume, I see what they're talking about, I believe there's value there. I think that connection, there's just less path from, like, you know, if you see me on TikTok, then you have to make the connection from TikTok that's more social to something business related, go to my website. There are too many steps. I feel like LinkedIn webinar to value is instant. And so I do think there's something there. I think now what Noel, I like what Noel is saying in terms of being more structured around how you then nurture those connections. Like LinkedIn is not good about letting you that data. So I do think scraping, you know, I don't know if it's legal on LinkedIn, but the ability to then get that data and take it with you into your CRM, I do think that structure is better in what he's saying, because LinkedIn isn't very good about, you know, taking that with you.
But the thing about LinkedIn, because like we said, all of us are there, we may not be using it, but all of us have accounts there. How many times have you opened your email from LinkedIn? I'm just curious. I don't open mine. Exactly. So, and that is even from those that I know. So if I scrap now and I send them email, do they read? Let me ask from Noel, what has been your experience with that? Because you're tempting me to go check out this thing. I'm already on Octopus CRM, I'm on Hunter.io. Now, what has been your experience using it as a lead generator? And what has been the results? What do you sell there? What is your main offering?
So my main offering. So I'll preface this by saying I learned about this yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm still I still need some time.
Is it from Auntie Yvonne?
No, not from actually I learned online. So what I do is I have everything from RSS feeds, feeds from Google as well, and I set my LinkedIn up so that I unfollowed everybody that I was initially following, right? And I started focusing, being very intentional about and strategic about who I was following, so that I'm following people within my niche. So I started with, so I started to Pleo, and I started targeting content creators and people that are posting viral posts consistently. To target their communities. So I'm in a phase where I'm understanding, trying to learn each individual community and understand, what they care about, what they value, and why some of their posts go to like 1,000 followers, right? And so on one of these posts was where this gentleman, he was actually conducting either like a seminar or webinar, and he discussed the Octopus CRM and then the Hunter.io strategy. So this was just yesterday, last night actually, while I was working that I found this.
Okay, now maybe I need to take a look. What is considered to even be a good follow? Like I said, I don't know anything about this thing. I'm looking at my own here. It says 6,300 connections. Is that good or bad? Is that small?
That's really good. Yeah.
Sorry, is that small? Right?
No, it's large. It's relatively large, yeah.
Okay, I have to check it out.
So it's almost like Instagram. It's you don't just jump to like Clubhouse. You can just jump to 2K. Like my account is at 2.4K followers. In just you can see it started in August. In January, I had 300 followers. Okay, and it's now 2K. That's not gonna usually doesn't happen on LinkedIn. LinkedIn and Instagram, it takes time. Yeah.
Plus, I have to first even determine whether my is there. I'm not too sure. I have to figure out. Because what I thought was there is only CEOs who are looking to hire people. That's the impression I have of LinkedIn. And I'm not hiring anybody, and I'm not looking for a job. That's why I told myself, what am I doing? What am I doing there? But maybe I'm wrong, because those CEOs, they're going to use software builders for their offices, right? Yeah, they're going to use CRMs. They're going to use stuff. Maybe I'm just underestimating it, or maybe I just was getting too comfortable in what I like. Facebook was my thing, and then because of politics, this last 1 year or so, I've been on Twitter. I don't even think I was tweeting until I would say maybe 9 months ago. I just had it. I've had my Twitter for a long time, but I can't remember any time I went there to tweet anything. So how I even got the 40 or 15,000 that I had before then, now I have like 40 something thousand. But that one I can understand how I grew from that 16 to 40, because I was very involved in the Peter Obi stuff, and a lot of them are Peter Obi guys. Now I'm not even sure that's the followership I want right now, to be honest with you, because if you really want to do business, most of those guys don't want to do business. They just want to fight politics and drag anybody. So what is the point for me? I'm not emotional about this following thing. What is the point of a follower if he cannot complement your business? Why am I following Lekan if I cannot complement his business and he cannot complement my business? To me, it makes no sense. It's just an ego. So having 40,000, where maybe 30,000 of them are probably people who either are not interested in anything I'm selling. They only want to talk about Peter Obi. I don't want to talk about Peter Obi anymore. So what is the use of that for me? So I'm thinking in my head now, maybe I need to go start a whole new Twitter space from scratch, and then this time be more intentional. I'm not going to delete the old one, but I know that when you post your business there, you know what they say? all through the time of the Peter Obi thing from August last year until last month, I did not post any business, anything. When you post anything business, they will say, oh, he's trying to use Peter Obi to cash out. They start to drag you as if you should not do business because you are supporting Peter Obi. I've never seen that type of thing before in my life. I built a mobile app for free for Peter Obi with my own money. About 700K is what I paid the guy who built it for me because I own the platform that builds it, right? I paid the guy 700K to build it because I felt that Peter Obi needs it for all these people that is gathering, that if we have an app, we can all, no, it was supposed to be a no-brainer. And to make sure that they don't even accuse me of anything, I didn't even put my typical stuff, which is to put affiliate links there, my typical stuff to put some to harvest, to create a mailing list. I didn't put any of that. I just gave it and donated it to them with nothing coming. You know what they said? Because somebody was planning to build one, they say, oh, I want to harvest their data that I want to cash out, that why am I the one building app for them? They reported the app to Google. Google had to pull it. They told themselves, let us go and mass report. Simply because they didn't like one comment I had made. I think we had one disagreement over some guys who said I have to pay money to support Peter Obi. And I said, I'm not paying you guys money. How can I pay you money to spend my money to promote a candidate? Does that even make sense? Oto, then they went and decided they're going to, and they did. I'm talking about a report about that app got, I don't know, 15,000 people the first 3 days. And about 8,000 of them decided they are going to go report it when they started. They pull it down. I had to appeal eventually. When Google now went to investigate, they realized I didn't scrap anybody's information. I didn't even have any data for me to harvest anything. So they restated it. But I was disgusted at that point. I'm like, what kind of stuff is this? So I didn't promote it anymore. I just left it. So it's like you have 40,000 people who are just waiting for you to advertise. Oh, I'm running it's like this, my AI summit coming up. If I make mistake, put it there. They'll say it's trying to cash out. They've said it. That's why he came to support Peter Obi. So I'm asking myself, I must be insane. So what am I doing there? Why, if I can't even promote my business? What I'm promoting is Peter Obi's business. He's a politician. I'm promoting his business. So without even using his name, I cannot say, okay, well, I'm organizing a seminar, everybody come, without them accusing me. So one has to be intentional. So now I'm thinking, okay, I don't need to be fighting with this guy. Let's leave that. I'm not going to delete my account because I don't really want to deal with this guy. Go start one from zero and don't talk politics there. Do your business from day one. Build it one step at a time. It's okay. So I like what you are doing, that you are saying now you want to be intentional about how who you follow and who follows you. I do that now on Clubhouse. I don't follow political Nigerians anymore. When I know that is this one they want to do, I don't leave them. Let me be following the anti-Vons of this world. Let me follow the Lekans of this world. At least that will help my destiny. So, Noel, you are Nigerian, okay? Are you not in the Dash Ghost rooms? Eh? Oh, yeah. I don't see Wale there. Wale is always escaping.
They used to call me the king of basketballs. I don't know if
the king of basketballs. I used to be, but Nigerians are crazy. Many of them, they're crazy.
I told them yesterday that, when they open rooms and they see 600 people in a room, they should think of the business side of things. They can actually monetize basketballs.
They don't. I'm trying to teach them. They say you are trying to cash out, and I'm asking them, if you are spending 8 hours on an app and you are not cashing out on it, shouldn't you be stupid? I mean, yeah. No, it's true now. Exactly. Paul is cashing out on Clubhouse now. His app is getting value every time we are using it. Why shouldn't we do business that will make something for us? At least, even if it's not money, that will enhance our profile, enhance our business. No, Nigerians don't want that. They're like, you're cashing out. So you should continue to talk about Peter Obi or Bola Tinubu. And then
hours, not making money, bringing all this content, all these people coming in from Twitter, people coming in from Facebook shares. Okay, you're bringing all these people to the app, and then you're not making any money from that. I told them you can even close the chat room and say, okay, if you want the chat room reopened for all you chat room warriors, if you want the chat room reopened so that you can keep bashing people in the comments, you have to make sure my Cash App
they will drag you like a bad generator. guys that decided that they're going to ruin my GStars app because they don't like my opinion, and they went for it. How do you deal with that? No, Nigerians, it's why we are not progressing now. So this is what we are discussing now. Imagine if the Lakers of this one, myself, and several, let's say 100 of us, are really working well together. Everybody bringing their strength to the table. Imagine how powerful we can be, but we don't want to do that. Regardless of our political opinion, I don't even know who Lakers supports. I don't care. That's his politics now. My own politics, I'm sure he doesn't care who I support. Why should my political opinion not determine whether you're going to ruin my business or not? Which is what they do.
That's crazy.
We can disagree. You can support Peter Obi or support Tinubu, and that's okay. But why would you not leave it from there? And that's okay. Let us go and make sure you saw the way they ran weeks of stuff for me over one negative video about one of my software. One video out of over 1,200 positive ratings. They took that one and they were running room calling me a scammer for weeks. How do you, I almost ran mental. What kind of mind is this?
Yeah, that's what that, even when I wrote
all because they don't like you, so not supporting Biafra. I think it was Biafra then. I'm like, Nigerians are crazy.
Yeah, even my book, when I wrote my book with ChatGPT in January, and it spawned a room that brought in 50,000 people within the first month. You know, they held a response room saying that I was a scammer because I used ChatGPT to write a book, and now people are buying the book. You know, said, you know, I told one of them there, it's like, make sure when they're saying that, make sure you share my LinkedIn. So that they can,
so that more people can buy it. Exactly. Yeah, people are afraid to share my own book there now because I know that's what will be all over Clubhouse for the next 1 year. They'll say, Dr. Pe has come again. The man wants to clean out. I won't with it. So I've left them. Let me be going after Oyibos and be going after the Americanized Nigerians like Lekan. Those are my friends now. I've left all of you people. Every once in a while, if I want to cause trouble, I'll come there and laugh. Abi? All right, guys, I think we've had great fun today. Anybody wants to weigh in from anywhere? We are the one talking. Since you guys are not talking, we are just having fun. Gist House, you are always very, very quiet. You are just there. You are see, over 20 of you are just there looking and just enjoying life. Nothing to say to all this thing on the table. All of you are in the audience. Okay, Clubhouse. I think we have tried here. We have at least Noel is on Clubhouse here. We're having fun here. All right, guys. Everybody, want to appreciate you for coming today. Tomorrow is another day. I will take the part 2 of the video course tomorrow, and I'm glad that we had to suspend that because we'll have missed that gem from Lekan. For those of you who want I will post the recording of Lekan's presentation. I will post it in the WhatsApp group. Unfortunately, that's the only group I have now. I've deleted all the rest. So if you are not a member of the, Business 360 Inner Circle Club, I don't know how to get the video to you. I don't know. And I don't know if it is clear on Clubhouse because it's right here on I'll play the replay and see if it works well. So you can check it on Clubhouse. The replay is there. I don't know how clear it's going to be. That's the best I can do. I wish I have another place to mail it to you. Or if you want it, just inbox Bio or me. There are not too many of us. I'll be glad to send it to you. All right. But I'm not going to start emailing nothing to nobody. I don't have that time. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to download it after it's done. I'm going to put it on YouTube. Then I'm going to have the link for that YouTube. Those who ask me, I will give it to you on WhatsApp. Or if you're a member of the Business 360 Inner Circle Club, the link will be posted there for you to be able to download. That's the best I can promise, because you're not going to give me work if you're not a member of my club for me to go and be sending individual emails to who. No, it cannot happen. Sorry about that, Joy. Okay. So I will encourage you, if you have not yet joined the club, go join the club. It's only $10 a month. All right. Shara, thank you so much. I know Prof could not talk much today. Didoton, thank you. Lekan, my VIP today, thank you so much for that gem that you shared. And we're going to be talking in the background on several of these developments. All right, thank you so much. I will let you know when we can do an audio. Go ahead. Closing comments from you, sir.
Nothing. Thank you for the time. Thank you for everybody who's.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry we took more of your time today, but we are still going to be on Clubhouse anyway. So it's all good. Oh yeah, guys, let's give a beautiful emoji for Lekan before we close the room. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Lekan, for your patience. I know you're a very busy man, but you just managed to still stay with us. Thank you so much. Thank you guys on Clubhouse. Thank you guys on Gist House. Thank you guys on Zoom. Thank you, Lekan. We'll talk later. Bye.
Thank you.